Captain Actual America is overweight and hopelessly in debt, and the Richie Rich comic strip introduces a new, even gayer character. As if you needed another reason to remain in your isolated and socially degenerative cocoon, this is the Onion Week in Review, Comics Edition. Sources confirmed Tuesday that the Comic Book and Sci-Fi Expo Comic-Con was once again marred by BullyCon, an increasingly popular event held in the same convention space. Now in its 5th year, BullyCon reportedly drew more than 125,000 tormentors from across the nation, all of whom were bent on beating up and torturing those attending the many comic book, television, and movie panels at Comic-Con.
When this got started, it was just a couple of friends who wanted to beat the shit out of some Joss Whedon fans, but now there are thousands of us, ruining Walking Dead panels, taunting Harry Potter nerds, and really making some video gamers' lives completely miserable. I don't necessarily need to travel to San Diego to slap a copy of Spider-Man out of some pussy's hands, but something really special about coming together with people who dig the same sort of cruelty you do.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. With you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
FCC will do it live. It's Riley O'Bill.
And that means that, it being a free call-in show means that you can call in about whatever's on your mind. There's no demand on your topic or that you can't change the subject or anything like that. It's genuinely up to you. And we already have a caller on the line, which is always appreciated to start off the show. So Sarah in New Mexico, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind, Sarah?
Yes, I just want to bring up that behind our HOA is Spanish Fun HOA. It has an alleyway. And then this Chinese restaurant closed down, and we have this food, like a making place that makes tamales.
Huh.
It's called Pocoso. And then they winded up building a huge warehouse and trailers with coolers running. And they have they're making so much noise with the trucks parking there and all the little cars that deliver food into the building. I mean, what do you call that? It's like an industrial place.
I don't know, like just an industrial park, but you're saying they serve tamales there?
No, they make tamales.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Tamales, but
do you want to get hired and work there, Sarah?
No, I don't think I'm interested, but the thing is, it's bothering all the neighbors right along by it. And so one of them sold their homes.
Whoa, that's pretty crazy. That seems like that'd have to be a lot of noise, like from a freaking tamale manufacturer.
No, yeah, what they do is they drop stuff off. I've seen Shamrock Milk Company there, all kinds of things to make the tamales. And then I thought it was going to be a 2-story building. It turns out to be like as high as 3-story. They're blocking all the views. It used to be a single-story Chinese buffet, and then people in the front they are angry and they're selling their home. They're like, "What is going on?" And they don't know what to do. And we're like, "Are they allowed to build like an industrial, like a big thing behind the residential section?" And so we were thinking they lied about what it was going to be. They probably lied and said it's going to be like a 2-story, and then they build it 3-story high. Or we were thinking
that seems like a crazy lie. Like that would get shut down pretty quick. I don't know. That's pretty crazy.
But nobody knows what's going on because they never had like a neighborhood meetings beforehand to let the association know that they were building this. Somehow it just got railroaded in, and it just started to pop up. he had to wait. They had to wait like a year for the permit. But in the meanwhile, none of the neighbors that live along were ever contacted about it. So that's grounds for a lawsuit.
So what do you think the solution is, Sarah? What do you think the solution is?
The solution is, I don't know. I contacted I belong to the Hodges Neighborhood Association. So we have meetings, and we're going to have a block party, and I've been emailing the president. I've been emailing them, and I was thinking that we could work with them to, listen to noise or figure something out, or,
And then just complain to the government about them?
Well, they involved our city councilors that in our district. She was at our meeting, Tammy Fevercorn, and our representative for this area. And then one of the Sarah texted me back. It's like, had they tried to contact the owner of Picoso? And I do not know what's going on. And
well, Sarah, I don't know. It seems like kind of like there's like a lot of. It just seems like a local issue. I'm not sure that there's really a solution for us to be able to talk about here. That is kind of a crazy story. Thank you for the call, Sarah. And also, sorry, your phone, it just sounded really bad quality. So I'm going to go to the next caller, unscreened caller. What's your name? You're on Free Talk Live.
My name's Jacob. How are you?
Hey, Jacob. What's on your mind tonight?
I just wanted to ask, I've been following Free Talk Live for a while on Twitch, never on the radio. But a couple years ago, there was like this, it's the guy who, when you call, it's his voice. I was wondering, where is he at? Where's he at?
Oh,
is he not here anymore?
That's my husband, Ian. I'm pretty sure that is who you're talking about, Ian. Tall
Ian.
and skinny. He went to prison, and he
oh my gosh,
won't get out until late next year, which is actually kind of news that I guess I haven't really said to anyone. He recently got his I don't know. They come and update you with what day you're supposed to get out of prison because it keeps changing because you keep receiving. Yeah, so it's going to be right now it's set to September.
If you don't mind me asking, what did he go to prison for? I mean, what happened?
So he ended up getting charged with, and the charges that stuck because the judge threw one out, were running an unlicensed money transmitting business, which means that he was selling cryptocurrency online without a license, even though he was told by a state official that New Hampshire doesn't regulate that, but apparently the feds do. So it was a federal trial.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
They also charged him with conspiracy to launder money, even though the judge threw out the charge of actual money laundering, and the judge said that they had no evidence that he actually money laundered. But it's just ridiculous. So what is money laundering a thought crime, or conspiracy to money launder a thought crime? It sounds like a thought crime to me. They're saying that they think that it's possible that while selling Bitcoin, Ian wanted scammers to buy from him, and it's just they have no proof of that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird thing to say when they have no evidence. I mean, here they are convicting a man who just sold Bitcoin because he wanted to get Bitcoin in the hands of people.
Who had a perfect reputation online for selling Bitcoin. He had a 100% rating on the website. Yeah. And
I thought that stuff was completely legal, to do that.
It is, unless the government wants to go after you and use Patriot Act era laws that were written about the U.S. dollar and apply it to Bitcoin just because they want to go after you. That's honestly what I think happened. The other ones were tax evasion charges, and they did not prove that.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was just curious because I really liked Ian, and I hadn't seen him, so I just didn't know what happened. I wanted to ask as well. This isn't really on topic, but what kind of music have you guys been listening to recently?
I typically listen to pop music. I've also been listening to a lot of Lana Del Rey because she's coming out with 2 new albums soon. What about you, Riley?
I've been listening to a variety of music. I listen to some pop occasionally. My girlfriend is into pop, so I listen to pop with her. I'll listen to a little bit of rock. I like Rebel Inc., who does our music here for the show. Jordan Page is also pretty good. He's a libertarian guy. So
While driving to go visit Ian recently, I listened to a podcast about Michael Jackson. So I was listening to some Michael Jackson, including like "I Want You Back" by the Jackson 5. That was like incredibly, like he was so talented as a child. I don't know why. It's like I kind of have always looked over his Jackson 5 music because I was like, it's just like silly. It's like gimmicky. It's just little kids singing. No, he was so
Right.
talented. Like I don't know what was wrong with me. I just always looked over it. So
what about you, Jacob?
Okay, well, I've been listening to a lot of this band called Geese, and the lead singer Cameron Winter. He made like a solo album called Heavy Metal, and in November I'm going to go see this lady called Julia Jacklin, who kind of makes similar music to Lana Del Rey,
cool.
and kind of like that whole vibe. But yeah, I was just curious about what was going on with Ian. I'm really sorry that happened. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I visit him often, and he is always in a good mood and good at staying positive. He is just always meditating and working out, and he takes like classes. Right now he's taking this class that they're making him take where you read the 7 highly effective habits of... No, sorry, the 7 habits of highly effective people or whatever it is called.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he always takes that kind of stuff like really seriously. Like he... I don't know how to explain it. Like he's just like really into self-improvement to the point where like most people get bored of reading like 100 self-improvement books, but he is always reading that kind of thing and like sending me long emails about what he learned. Well, thanks for sharing.
Well,
I searched Julia Jacklin so I can look her up later since you said she sounds like Lana.
Okay.
Where are you
Yeah,
calling
well,
from
yeah.
if you don't mind me asking? Are you in the US?
Alabama.
Alabama? That's
yeah,
cool.
I'm in Alabama.
Nice.
My older
Yeah,
brother
yeah, I
named
was just
Jacob lives there.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, yeah, I was just curious. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for the call. So 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. That was really wholesome, fun call. Like
I know. I love calls like that. It's just so fun. It breaks up the weirdness of the show, or the weird... I don't know if the weirdness of the show is the right phrase, but it breaks up the usual talk that we have, the politics, the show that is WWE wrestling for politicians or whatever. It's just nice to have a wholesome call.
Oh, and always bringing up Ian always gives us the opportunity to give out the website you can go to if you'd like to learn more, and also sign the petition.
freeian.org.
And also sign the petition
Or is
to
it freeiannow.org?
Yes, it's freeiannow.org.
Okay.
So that's IAN, freeiannow.org. So you can sign the petition, and it's really important to do so because Ian is asking the president for a pardon, and it's just always a good thing to be able to point to, like, look, there's this petition with a bunch of signatures. So it really does help. That's probably... People actually always ask me what they can do to help. The number one thing anyone could do would be probably to sign the petition or even write the president, but the quickest thing you can do is sign the petition at freeiannow.org. So thanks for bringing it up. And yeah, the other thing about it is people always ask me how Ian's doing, and he is doing well. And he is like, when he comes out, I feel like he'll kind of seem like the same old Ian, like nothing has changed, like he always just does. Like he's too like secure in himself and good at like staying positive to possibly let something like even being in prison for like what it's gonna be like 5 years to let it like break him. That won't happen. So
Ian's one of these guys that seems like he has his life together to some extent. His mental state is together. He just seems to accept everything as it is.
So, Riley, you brought something in, and I thought it was really funny actually when I saw this. Wait, where was it? The one that you sent me. Sorry, I'm pulling it up here. This one isn't as funny, but did you bring in the one about Trump? Hold on, wait. It says, yeah. That Trump is threatening to... That's the one I said was funny. Sorry, listeners. I didn't want to be like, oh, the thing you brought in was funny, and then like pull up one that I had pulled up on accident, but I thought this was like kind of a funny story, even though it's like whenever the government is threatening people, that's bad. But Trump threatens to revoke ABC and NBC's licenses for not broadcasting his election speech.
Oh, boo-hoo. King Trump doesn't get his speech broadcast? Oh, poor baby.
Well, one thing about it is that when you take money from the government, you're asking for stuff like this. So
I hear you, but it's still a stupid idea to have a so-called president threaten people for threaten people's licenses because he didn't get his words transmitted over their networks.
Well, getting a license isn't necessarily the same as taking money from them, so maybe they don't take money from the federal government, but they're definitely asking for permission.
They are, which is, a terrible idea to ask permission from a group of strangers calling themselves government, but, here we are in America, where we're supposedly the land of the free, but you have to get permission to broadcast over the air. Yep.
So let's see what this is all about and see if the writers even think he has any kind of right to do this. The subtitle here says, "As someone should have explained to him by now, that's not how it works." I kind of think he likes to just say things sometimes, just because he knows it's funny.
Or inflammatory enough that he's going to get rage. He's going to rage bait people. That's entirely possible. I could see Trump doing that.
Yeah, it says, on Thursday night, President Trump delivered a primetime address to the nation on one of his favorite topics, the 2020 election. Ian told me he listened to it, and he said that basically some stuff has been declassified, and that Trump thinks it's proof that the election in 2020 was a fraud.
Okay, but the 2020 election was 6 years ago now. Why would we care?
I mean, if I were him and I had proof that the election was stolen from me, I would care. I mean, I think that the people that voted should all care. I didn't vote in 2020, but if the election was actually stolen, that would be pretty big news.
It would be big news, but I think the thing is that Trump was presiding over the 2020 election, and if it was stolen from him in 2020, then it says a lot about him as a person that he's got to go blame somebody for a stolen election.
I don't get it, because it could be stolen by somebody other than the president, because they don't put the president in charge. You see what I mean? I
see what you mean. I think what I'm trying to get at is that people, it seems like everyone wants to blame each other for a stolen election. Trump wants to blame China or Russia or the Democrats. The Democrats blamed Elon Musk. So I don't know. I'm just tired of the blame game when it comes to the elections.
Well, let's see. I feel like if he came out and had showed absolute evidence, we would have definitely heard about it by now. Concrete evidence as proof that this happened. We probably would have heard about it by now. So it's probably not the case, but it may be things that he believes point to it. Let's see. Says over 25 minutes, Trump aired a familiar list of grievances, inveighing against the media, China, and a nebulous collection of conspirators who allegedly stole the 2020 election from him. The allegation has long been debunked, and even the newly declassified evidence Trump touted in the speech didn't make the case as he claimed. Honestly, I don't really just outright believe the media just saying, oh, it's been debunked. That sounds like something they'd want to cover up, to be honest. And I'm not saying, I really have a opinion one way or the other. I didn't vote. I don't believe in federal elections. I don't believe in the federal government at all, to be honest. So
I agree with you on that. I don't have a dog in the election fight either. I don't really care.
I did for Ross Ulbricht, to be clear.
I can understand that, but at the same time, I didn't have a dog in 2020, just like you didn't. And here we are.
Did you vote for the Libertarian?
I don't remember who I voted for in that year. I don't even think I
didn't vote
voted
at all in 2020.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to get at the point that Trump, I don't know. I don't believe the media either that the election was or wasn't stolen. I don't know. I don't have enough evidence to claim either way. It just seems like every side wants to blame each other for stealing elections when we could settle this somehow better than just arguing over politicians and things like that.
And the other thing about it is it's always China, seriously. I don't really think that, what did China win by having Biden president instead of Trump? For one thing, Russia went to war against Ukraine, which China was on the side of. Oh, wait, China was on the side of Russia, my bad. I was going to say China was on the side of Ukraine, so why would they want that? But I was like, wait a second, they actually made a lot of money by Russia invading Ukraine because they ended up selling, or I don't think they sold oil. It was that they got really cheap oil from the deal, basically. Something like that.
Okay.
Do you remember that happening? I know we covered it at the time because Russia makes a lot of oil, but they were not selling it to the Europeans. So
it's entirely possible that they sold to China and got China pretty wealthy, so maybe that's why they had Biden win the presidency so they could have America fight for Ukraine and then sell Russia the oil. because
Yep.
they're not going to be selling it to not libertarians. That'd be funny. But the Europeans, they're not selling oil to Europeans, so, we might as well sell to China. And if Biden's in power, he's not going to stop it.
Yeah, I almost went against my point just now, because my point was just going to be like, what would China want to do that for? And then I was like, oh, wait a second. Maybe it did make them some money. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on this. I'm just making, let's call it a devil's advocate. But we do have a caller, so let's go to the phones. We have Dave Ridley in Colorado. Dave Ridley, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Eric Voorhees.
Okay, did he create he created one of the cryptos. Is he like a Bitcoin original like coder guy?
Yeah, he's a Bitcoin OG guy, and I believe officially a Free Stater.
Oh.
He moved to New Hampshire briefly, I think, or at least was visiting, but then eventually wound up in Colorado.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know if he'll ever actually complete the move or not. Maybe he's just stopping off in Colorado, but he is, I think, a Free Stater.
Oh, cool.
So he's one of us. His company, Venice.ai, is designed to create uncensored, easy access, open source, and some closed source, access to the large language models.
Okay, so is it completely unrestricted?
I think so. It's also supposed to be privacy friendly. Somehow the data is not stored at the company. They don't have it, so they can't give it away.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Okay, so I searched Venice.ai. That's the website?
Yeah, and there's nothing new about what I've told you, but what is new is I guess they have reached a $1 billion valuation, making them, I guess, only the second Free Stater company I'm aware of to reach $1 billion.
What would be the first?
Bruce Fenton?
Oh, what's his company? I know he's like rich. I just didn't know what he was rich for.
I think he was an investor.
Interesting.
Like a trader of some kind. Back in the, I was just guessing in the 2001 era, something along those lines, and then moved to New Hampshire, something like that. I think he was already rich when he moved to New Hampshire.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he seems like a pretty solid Free Stater. I usually agree with his takes online and things like that. Bruce Fenton, and he's a really nice man. He opens his home up to the public whenever he runs for Senate, and it's like a really beautiful piece of land on a bay on the New Hampshire seacoast. Oh my God, it's so nice. It's like a huge farm. But anyways, we were talking more about Eric Voorhees, but I know that Eric Voorhees is one of the people that maybe explain things about crypto to Ian and Mark early on. Was he the one that got them to finally, I know that Roger Ver worked on him too, but then someone came and bought a pizza for crypto with Ian and Mark and finally got them to take the plunge.
I was thinking that was, anyone still there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're still here.
Okay. I was thinking it was Andreessen, I think it was.
Yes, Gavin Andreessen, you're right. I mixed those two people up. Gavin Andreessen, Eric Voorhees. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
not the famous tech bro Andreessen that everyone's heard about, but a local, a New England guy, did something with them, I think in 2011, if I recall. Maybe 2012.
Oh, do you have more you want to say about this, Ridley?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold, and if you'd like to get in on the conversation with us, 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. We're going for a couple more hours here, or a couple and a half. More Free Talk Live coming up, 603-283-6160. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Food waste is the single largest component in our daily trash. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. American landfills gobble up an estimated 73 billion pounds a year, and lots of what we throw out is still edible because the way it's labeled can be confusing. If the label says, best if used before, that's when its flavor or quality will be best, not whether it's safe to eat. Use by is the last date the product is at peak quality. Other than infant formula, it's still safe. Sell by tells the retailer how long it can stay on the shelf. And freeze by dates are self-explanatory. That's what to do with markdown meat or poultry. How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. US President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over this week, but says Washington has agreed to continue negotiations as mediators scramble to prevent further escalation. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Israeli intelligence has uncovered a fresh Iranian plot to assassinate the US president. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The US has been saying that Iran has been plotting potentially to kill President Trump in retaliation for the US strikes that killed their military leader Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Now, interestingly, this story also comes at a time where just after the New York Times has been reporting that President Trump didn't leave Turkey, the NATO summit in Turkey, in the new Qatari Air Force One, but he left in the older version of Air Force One because of security precautions.
Iran's new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, did not appear at the burial of his father, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Thursday, as Pakistan and Qatar work urgently to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. The contradictory signals from the White House had left mediators uncertain about the American position. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
On the one hand, you had Donald Trump declaring the ceasefire was over, but also saying that he thinks talks could continue, saying that the US should finish the job, but he doesn't want to return to all-out war. And it's hard to know if this is part of his negotiating tactic to kind of put extra pressure on Tehran, or whether it is just genuinely him being frustrated one minute and then changing his mind the next.
Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Moscow in 2 years this week, with more than 430 drones targeting the Russian capital and surrounding regions. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted more than 450 drones across the country, while all four of Moscow's major airports imposed temporary flight restrictions during the barrage. The attack came as NATO leaders gathered in Ankara for a summit at which major new military assistance for Ukraine was expected to be pledged. Dasha Chernysheва reports from Moscow.
The MOD says more than 400 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over different parts of Russia over the course of this past night, most notably in the Rostov region. The air raid sirens were on all night long. In the Taganrog Bay, 2 tankers have been hit by the Ukrainian drones. They were not carrying any oil, so the authorities say that there was no oil spill in the waters as the tankers were heading to the Rostov-on-Don port. We're also hearing about the major attack against the Saratov region. One person got killed there and 2 others got injured in the Tatarstan regions.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. You can change the subject, bring up whatever's on your mind. It's up to you. And I'd like to thank Mar for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that Mar went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Mar and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley O'Bill.
And we already had a caller on the line from the last segment. If you missed that segment, Dave Ridley called in from Colorado from RidleyReport.com. Dave, you wanted to talk about Gavin Andreessen and that Venice.ai hit $1 billion valuation. Is that what you would call it?
That's my understanding, yeah.
That's pretty big. I mean, as far as the list of AI companies, does that make it pretty high up there?
No, they only have 3 million users, and I believe Anthropic has about I was thinking it was more like, well, you know what? I don't remember for sure how to compare the user number, but I got the impression that Venice was maybe about 3% the size of something like Anthropic.
Oh, wow. I forget a lot of these, like, non-major ones' names a lot, so I wrote down Venice.ai, so that way, like, I searched it on the computer, so that way I will stop just, like, forgetting it as soon as we stop talking about it, so maybe I can use it sometimes. Is Perplexity one that is supposed to be good? Like, as far as, like, freedom goes, Ridley? Like, is it good as far as not giving your information to, like, big, giant companies? I always hear about Perplexity.
I'm not very familiar with Perplexity. I've poked around with it, I believe, but I don't even remember what its specialty is.
I just, like, really quick pulled up top 10 earning AI chats, and of course the top one is Dave Ridley's least favorite, ChatGPT by OpenAI that Dave calls closed AI. Yeah, it's closed source, so it makes way more sense. The second one is Chat On. I've never heard of that. Have you guys?
No.
It's kind of surprising. The third one says Chat and Ask AI by Codeway, then Chatbox, then AI Chatsmith, then Google Gemini is number 6, then Claude by Anthropic, which I'm always hearing about Claude recently. Like, people really like Claude.
That's what I've heard. They're able to use it for coding and things like that.
Then Microsoft Copilot, then Perplexity, then Grok. Wow. So some of those are surprising, like in the order. Who knows if this is right? Google AI Overview told me that.
Well, in any case, most of these models, I believe, are accessible through Venice, through Venice.ai. And the other nice thing about them is that you can use them without logging in. I mean, you can't do everything without logging in. But I've been able to do video, image to video and text to video without logging in.
Nice.
That's really cool.
I like that. That's like when you're looking for a thing to turn like crypto into gift cards. I really like the ones where all you need is like some of them. All you need is an email, and you can make a throwaway email, which I guess that's not as good as like not logging in at all. But it's like using using a AI that isn't asking for KYC. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I have an unrelated AI update. There's a video I'd recommend people watch called quote AI access is about to change forever, unquote. And I just listened to it today, so I haven't fully processed it, and I probably missed some things. But basically, this is I guess this video was following up on the government's completely unconstitutional restrictions on Anthropic, where they tried to temporarily ban Fable, the latest model called Fable. You're familiar with this ban?
No. Familiar with the what? The saying? Is that what you said?
The ban on the model.
Oh, so they're banning an AI model? I wasn't aware of this.
No, I did not know that either. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't understand that word. But yeah, so there's a ban on this AI model? No, I'm sorry, I haven't heard.
Yeah, it wasn't just unconstitutional. It wasn't even. It didn't even go through the legislative process. I think it was just an executive order from the creep in chief.
Wow. Have any other AIs been banned like this?
I don't think so. Anthropic banned their own model, Mythos, briefly because they thought it was too dangerous. May have been a publicity stunt to do that, but they did release it after that. And again, I don't think the government was much involved.
So
but
it says
the government
Fable
did
5 and Claude Mythos 5, yeah.
So that was what happened, a month or two ago. But this follow-up article is saying that what's coming is bans on open source models and restrictions on open source models and Chinese models, and starting to increase the amount of time where there's basically just a few people who have access to something, while the public has to wait, a year or so for the model to come out, that sort of thing. This is the kind of thing, and it's not really a safety enhancing move. This is what we feared, I think, a year or two ago, that you would get regulation that doesn't even improve safety. So It reduces the amount of freedom and democracy, but also fails to increase the amount of safety. Does that make sense?
Yep, and makes everybody like America behind, Americans behind everybody else in the world just because we're just banning things.
There's an authoritarian AI expert named Gary Marcus who I follow, and I like him. He at least is focused on safety. It's unfortunate that he wants to use authoritarian means to achieve it. But he said, okay, I wanted regulation, I wanted restrictions, and these restrictions aren't helping with safety at all.
So if they ban open models, won't that mean that people will just be able to pirate it and share it amongst each other? And if so, is the government going to start going after people who have that, downloaded, who get caught downloading it or whatever?
Well, according to this video, he's predicting that they start making restrictions on what you can put on your computer.
Wow.
That's really...
And this is something, again, all of us have been looking at and afraid of for a long time. And it's that moment that we feared would come where this exciting new technology really starts to go bad. That's the indication I get from this video.
Yeah, Chris, Mr. Penguin has warned us on the show many times about just things like the government is now mandating the types of, I'm going to state this wrong because I'm not techie, but the types of computer model or internet modems we can have, and like I don't know if it's like the types or the software that it uses. There's cracking down on like lots of things related to our internet access, and it is creepy.
Yeah. Well, again, the video is called AI Access is About to Change Forever. I don't remember the name of the presenter, but it was nice to see him. I just always looked at him as a nice AI expert, but it was nice to see him taking really even more of a pro-freedom line than I would have by myself. So, it's good to have him on our side.
Nice. So this is YouTube video?
Yeah. Yeah, again, just look for the video. AI Access is About to Change Forever.
Awesome. I put the title in the show notes. Do you have anything else for us tonight, Ridley?
That's all I got.
Thank you for the call. And if anybody want more from Ridley, go to ridleyreport.com. He has great videos there doing things like ambush interviews of politicians, and it's like a Free Stater favorite.
He's a great guy, Ridley is. I really like him. I was watching or listening to something from freeking.com earlier this week where Dave Ridley was refusing to pay a fine for paperwork, I think. And essentially was like, I'd rather spend the time in jail because, civil disobedience is you got to go all the way. Got to take whatever comes to you. So he's willing to go spend a week in jail and not pay a fine.
When he did go to jail?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember he went to jail in Massachusetts before, and he has told some of his stories on here. I also interviewed Dave Ridley. If anybody wants to go to the Free Talk Live and Free Keen channels, like on YouTube and also SoundCloud and stuff like that, and search up Bonnie's Activist Archives. The only one I ever did was an interview of Dave Ridley, and I really need to interview more of the OG activists here in New Hampshire. But I don't want to just do Ian and people that are on Free Talk Live talking about it all the time. I want to interview Russell Canning and stuff like that. So
yeah, Russell Canning would be a good one because
we've tried a couple times and failed to schedule it.
He's either really busy or I don't know. He's a good activist to have on because he's been in New Hampshire
way before Ian.
Oh, yeah.
Even I don't know if people know about that. Yeah,
he'd be good.
So before the call from Dave Ridley, we were reading this article from Reason. Trump threatens to revoke ABC and NBC licenses for not broadcasting his election speech. And that is sounding pretty dictatory. Just saying. I don't think it's necessarily dictatory considering the fact that he has checks on him, so he can't just do it if he doesn't, he can't just do it.
You mentioned earlier in the show that Trump may just like to just say things to get people riled up, and this may be the case where he's just saying something to get people riled up.
Yeah, especially his enemies, definitely mainstream media has been positioned themselves as his enemy since he started running for president.
If you look at Trump as just a big internet troll, it makes him more entertaining.
He might be the most successful internet troll of all time, or maybe not internet, but troll of all time.
Oh yeah.
So it says that
Best troll ever.
over 25 minutes, Trump aired a familiar list of grievances, all about alleged stealing of the 2020 election. The allegation has long been debunked, they say, and even the newly declassified evidence Trump touted in the speech didn't make the case he claimed. I hope that they back that up because I find that part of the story kind of more interesting, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But not every channel aired the speech, and the president threatened them with reprisal as a result. This, too, is a common refrain from the president, and it's just as meritless as his complaints about the election. Broadcast networks ABC and NBC announced ahead of time that they would not air Trump's speech live, instead airing their regularly scheduled programming, though they would air it on their streaming platforms. CBS did air the speech with anchor Tony, oh wow, crazy name, sorry, Dokupil, maybe? It might be Greek. Sorry I said it's crazy. It's just I meant hard to pronounce for me
Yeah.
on the fly like that. So anyway, CBS did air the speech with anchor Tony Dokupil saying that while much of Trump's commentary on the subject has been false, the network would still air it. This speech will be made, it will be news, and it's our job to cover the news, he added. CBS also cut away from the speech with about 5 minutes left. That's a little weird. In the speech, Trump addressed the networks that refused to put him on the air. Wow, he did that in the speech. It's kind of funny. In a rare move, this is a quote from him. In a rare move, NBC and ABC, fake news, both have said that they would not cover this speech. He griped. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in-value airwaves for absolutely no money. Oh, I see. They don't have to pay.
Yeah. Well, they have to pay licensing fees, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, in this case, it's not like he said, I'm going to do it. He just said it should mean that. I don't know. Trump is apparently referring to their broadcast licenses, which are issued by the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and allow broadcast over public airwaves. Going as far back as his first term in office, Trump has threatened to pull networks' licenses for reporting news that displeases him. I like how they say it like that. And he has ramped up those threats in his second term. Someone should have explained to him by now that it isn't how it works. ABC and NBC don't have broadcast licenses, their affiliates do. Oh, okay, yeah, that's like Free Talk Live. I didn't think about that. Free Talk Live doesn't have to have a license. They're actual,
the stations that carry us have to have the licenses. We don't.
Yeah, so that's how they one could threaten us by saying they're going to complain to the station, and then the station would have to make a move if we were cussing on the air or something like that because they wouldn't want to lose their license. So, yeah. Okay, so I don't know why I didn't think about that in the same way, but ABC and NBC don't have broadcast licenses. Their affiliates do. The networks create content, but it's the local affiliates, most of which are owned by someone other than the network, that actually broadcast it and require a license to do so. But Trump's suggestion that the networks must carry his speech is also wrong under the law. I mean, anyways. Requiring broadcasters to air certain programming and pulling one's license at will is not a feature of American government. In fact, it's a part of authoritarian regimes like Venezuela. You know what I think that reason should kind of be focusing on? The fact that requiring a license to put information out on the airwaves should also be considered something authoritarian regimes do.
Do you think reason's not focusing on that part of the whole thing is because they want to kind of toe the media line and be like, yeah, we don't want to be too anti-government because we still want to be liked by the conservatives.
Yeah, in this case, I think they'd be more being liked by the Democrats, right? In fact, I think they're kind of always more kowtowing to the Democrats.
Why do you think that?
Probably because they're based in D.C. You know, it's literally Beltway, libertarians. It's just
Mordor on the Potomac.
The more you want to be liked by your colleagues that are also in a large city, it's kind of a thing that kind of creeps in even. Sometimes you'll just find yourself agreeing to disagree to get away from the conversation, and then you're like, oh, why did I do that? I wish I had more ability to speak up for myself. And I feel if you're way into that stuff, you might end up actually compromising your positions. So, and
I think if you hold anything back from your viewers that isn't your real opinion, and you're also compromising your values. So if reason believes in libertarian values, they should be also pointing out that having a license to broadcast over the airways is still tyranny.
Yeah, exactly. But they can write what they want. They said, and Trump is also not the first president to be preempted by a network. Oh, okay, I thought they were going to say not the first president to say they should lose their license. I was like, wow. But it says, in September 2022, President Joe Biden spoke in Philadelphia where he warned that Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundation. Oops, I kind of accidentally scrolled way down. Sorry. I just went to scroll normally and I scrolled way down and lost my spot. Sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll talk amongst ourselves while you scroll back up and find your spot.
I found it.
Okay.
Thank you. It says, in September 22, President Joe Biden spoke in Philadelphia where he warned that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. ABC, NBC, and CBS all declined to air the speech. Wow, so that's a really good point to point out because it's the complete opposite president, Trump's worst enemy, saying kind of opposite things.
And similar networks decided not to cover the speech.
Yep, that's
It wasn't
true.
the same speech. Sorry about that.
Yeah. They both declined to air a speech by each president with completely different viewpoints. So that's pretty interesting. They all declined to air the speech, seeing it as less of a presidential address than a partisan effort leading into that year's midterms. And when President Barack Obama announced new immigration actions at the southern border in November 2014, the networks declined to air the address, deeming it more political than newsworthy. In this day and age, there are vanishingly few people who had no access to see the president speak if they so choose. That's a good point, because you could easily go to YouTube. Yeah, but it says, the speech aired in its entirety on cable news, on YouTube, on social media, and even the White House website.
So there's really no excuse for you to not be able to have access to the show. Trump is just being a loser here.
We don't need to take, nationalized CBS and use their equipment and such to air every speech just because, it's everybody needs to hear this as national emergency. You see what I mean? That's authoritarian for sure. For that matter, the president has no authority to demand that anyone, even licensed broadcasters, air what he wants them to, nor to threaten them with reprisal if they don't. This is hardly the first time major networks have declined to carry a presidential address live. Greg Lukianoff, CEO of the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, wrote on X, threatening broadcasters' licenses because of an editorial decision is yet another direct attack on the First Amendment. Well, all of the presidents do that.
They do.
Truly.
They just attack the First Amendment. The Constitution seems to have no power to stop the presidents from attacking the First Amendment or anyone attacking the Constitution,
the judges and everyone.
So what is this document worth if it doesn't have the power to stop it?
Yep, that's true. The Constitution can't stop its own being trudged upon.
The Constitution is either allowed for the tyranny with which we have or has failed to prevent it. Either way, it's unfit to exist.
I agree.
And that was their late, great Lysander Spooner saying something like that.
Yep, that was really good.
I know. I like Lysander Spooner. He's one of my favorite anarchist thinkers.
I'm just saying, that was good memory, right off the top of your head. Sometimes I try to say that one, and I always screw it up in some way. So apparently, the Tate brothers were arrested again. I don't really want to talk about that. I'm just really, these people keep getting arrested.
The Tate brothers, the manosphere bloviators that think they get a piece of all the women because they know about women or something like that.
yeah, those guys.
Yep, those guys.
So in other news, in good news even, New Jersey's ban on assault rifles ruled unconstitutional by court. And listen, that might sound like that goes against what I just said about the judges trampling all over the Constitution, but they just randomly get some right sometimes and get some wrong sometimes.
That's true.
I don't know what the rhyme or reason is.
And this is the right move this is the right move by the judges in this case, because what defines an assault rifle, ladies and gentlemen? Who knows? It's very limited. It's very strange how they get to define things. A piece of metal could be defined as an assault rifle. And so the fact that
legalese.
Oh yeah, the fact that legalese can be used to put you in a cage for a piece of metal just sounds absurd, and this is a right move by this particular court to deem the ban unconstitutional.
And one thing about it is what's the rhyme or reason? Well, there's one pretty good fourth justice, I guess you'd call him, on the bench that has been getting a lot of things right in the gun world specifically, like the Second Amendment area specifically. Clarence Thomas, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, got it right. So this is from NorthJersey.com.
A reputable news source.
A federal appeals court on Friday, July 17th, ruled that New Jersey's assault weapons law, barring possession of semi-automatic rifles like AR-15s and large capacity magazines containing more than 10 rounds of ammunition, is unconstitutional. The ruling by the Philadelphia-based Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals marked the first time a federal appeals court had ruled that a state's assault weapon ban violated the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment, which guarantees the right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport criticized the decision, saying it is as unfortunate as it is legally incorrect. Pretty sure it says shall not be infringed. So
I'm pretty sure it does say that too. So I don't know what she's trying to get at.
She continues, every other federal circuit court to consider the issue has come out the other way. Assault weapons and large capacity magazines play a dangerous role in the modern epidemic of mass shootings, and New Jersey acted reasonably and lawfully in restricting them.
You know, if we didn't have guns in America, they'd be blaming stabbings and they'll be blaming knives.
It's almost like that's happening in England.
I know. And here we are in America with the right to keep and bear arms, and they want to blame the guns for the violence instead of the people enacting the violence.
Yep. And the other thing about it is, like, I think that the amount of people that are good people that have guns deter bad people that would use guns to do things like mass shootings.
It's because good people with guns are responsible generally for the gun. They would hopefully go through some training with the gun because they know they're carrying something that's deadly, and they would rather protect themselves and the people around them than shoot up a bunch of people because they're angry.
And the proof of that is that the safest states are the states where guns are more easy to get access to, like New Hampshire, one of, if not the safest state. I think it might be the safest. And it has constitutional carry here, and just probably the least restricted as far as the Second Amendment goes, if not one of like the top three.
And that's the nice thing about a state that owns a gun, where the populations get to own guns, is because you don't know. If you break into someone's house, you don't know if you're going to get shot by the house owner.
Right. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click Join today. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. US President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over this week, but says Washington has agreed to continue negotiations as mediators scramble to prevent further escalation. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Israeli intelligence has uncovered a fresh Iranian plot to assassinate the US president, and the New York Times reports that President Trump left the NATO summit in Turkey aboard the older Air Force One rather than the new Qatari-funded aircraft because of security concerns. Jagriti Dave reports from Washington.
The US has been saying that Iran has been plotting potentially to kill President Trump in retaliation for the US strikes that killed their military leader Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Now, interestingly, this story also comes at a time where just after the New York Times has been reporting that President Trump didn't leave Turkey, the NATO summit in Turkey, in the new Qatari Air Force One, but he left in the older version of Air Force One because of security precautions.
Iran's new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, did not appear at the burial of his father, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Thursday, as Pakistan and Qatar work urgently to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. The contradictory signals from the White House had left mediators uncertain about the American position. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
On the one hand, you had Donald Trump declaring the ceasefire was over, but also saying that he thinks talks could continue, saying that the US should finish the job, but he doesn't want to return to all-out war. And it's hard to know if this is part of his negotiating tactic to kind of put extra pressure on Tehran, or whether it is just genuinely him being frustrated one minute and then changing his mind the next.
Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Moscow in 2 years this week, with more than 430 drones targeting the Russian capital and surrounding regions. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted more than 450 drones across the country, while all 4 of Moscow's major airports imposed temporary flight restrictions during the barrage. The attack came as NATO leaders gathered in Ankara for a summit at which major new military assistance for Ukraine was expected to be pledged. Dasha Chinashova reports from Moscow.
The MOD says more than 400 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over different parts of Russia over the course of this past night, most notably in the Rostov region. The air raid sirens were on all night long. In the Taganrog Bay, 2 tankers have been hit by the Ukrainian drones. They were not carrying any oil, so the authorities say that there was no oil spill in the waters as the tankers were heading to the Rostov-on-Don port. We also hearing about the major attack against the Saratov region. 1 person got killed there and 2 others got injured in the Tatarstan regions.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese have signed a landmark uranium supply agreement in Melbourne, enabling Australian exports to fuel India's civilian nuclear program. The deal, struck at the 3rd India-Australia Annual Summit on Thursday, is designed to support New Delhi's ambitious clean energy targets as the country seeks to decarbonise its power sector and heavy industry. The 2 leaders also signed a joint declaration on defence and security cooperation and announced a new critical minerals corridor. Ishan Garg reports from New Delhi.
The headline has certainly been the uranium supply deal. This is something that's been in the works for more than 10 years now. And this is crucial for India because just last year in 2025, the Indian government set itself a very ambitious target of producing 100 gigawatts of clean energy using nuclear fuel. And this comes at a time when India has been pivoting hard towards sources of energy which are non-polluting.
And finally, in the UK, the governing Labour Party and opposition Conservatives and Liberal Democrats say they will not stand in a by-election being triggered by Nigel Farage. The Reform UK leader is resigning as an MP to stand in a by-election in Clacton. He says it's a fight against the establishment and denies any wrongdoing as allegations swirl about his financial arrangements and donors. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said Nigel Farage is having a political tantrum.
It's like Nigel Farage has just decided, well, the normal rules in politics that say, do you know what, if you get millions of pounds in donations, you need to declare it because, frankly, everybody needs to know there's not something dodgy going on. They need to know whether or not, who it's come from, whether there's any conditions, what is going on, because that is just about the normal rules of politics and it's what the public have a right to know.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
A new report released this week has found that nearly 3/4 of sleepaway campers' parents are currently using their children's time away from home to take the first steps towards filing for divorce.
With 46% of campers' moms currently staying with their sisters while they try to figure it out, and 38% of campers' dads sleeping on the living room couch and staring at the ceiling for hours before falling asleep.
Most campers are, at this precise moment, wholly unaware that their fathers are looking for temporary sublets and are experiencing a level of carefree, joyful buoyancy that experts say they will never feel again.
The majority of campers currently have, on average, 16 days until their lives come crashing down around them, at which point their parents will pick them up from camp, drive them to a restaurant, and then break the news that while they'll always be a family, they won't be living together anymore.
I love camp this year. It's so much fun. Mom sent me so many care packages. Dad even sent one. It's awesome.
This is the Onion News Network.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you'd like to get in on the conversation with us. Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. With you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley O'Bill.
And in the last segment, we were telling you guys about this New Jersey ban on assault rifles ruled unconstitutional by court. And even this article is using the term assault rifles. We didn't even stop to point this out. That doesn't mean anything.
No, it really doesn't. It can mean just a simple piece of metal in a gun to create something.
But that's kind of pointing out a different thing than I'm pointing out. The media likes to, it's beyond the legalese. It's just the media likes to call things a rifle is just a rifle. There's not a different class of rifle called an assault rifle.
Yeah.
The media just likes to call or a weapon called assault weapons. It's not we manufactured these ones for assault and these ones for self-defense
and these ones for battery.
Exactly. It's just that.
No, it's just a way for the media to scare the devils out of everybody or to scare the hell out of everybody. Say these are more dangerous. We got to ban them because they're evil weapons. And it's just ladies and gentlemen of the American audience or the world audience listening, the people calling themselves government are the people who claim to serve you, and they don't actually serve you. The people calling themselves media like to whip up hysteria around things in order to make money, to create a profit, if you will. It's capitalism for you, which is just fine by me. And so the media will use their tools to get in bed with government and create scary headlines about tools they call assault weapons, and say, we got to ban these things because they're too dangerous for the average person to have. They're going to go assault people. Well, a gun is a tool that shoots a bullet out of it that kills people or wounds somebody. And yes, I'm fully aware of this. But just because it does something doesn't mean, just because it causes harm doesn't mean we should ban it immediately. You have the right to keep and bear arms for a reason. It's to help you rise up against the tyrannical arm of an authoritarian government. And if you allow an authoritarian government to take you over and ban your tools of defense, you are simply saying, government, keep stepping on my neck harder because I can't protect myself. You got to protect me from the big bad wolves out there instead of allowing me to do it for myself.
Well said, Riley. I don't know why we didn't. It's like they've made it become part of our like typical day-to-day parlance too. Just like, oh, assault rifle, this assault rifle that. You see it everywhere, to the point like you and I like did a whole last segment where we were just talking about it without even pointing that out. It like finally hit me like, yeah. And I do agree that they work together because they work for the same, people. Like,
it certainly seems that way.
The media and the government, I mean.
And, there are people that call themselves independent media, but we all know that there may not be independent media out there. I mean, maybe we could be, but we're not beholden to the Libertarian Party or the Free State Project in any way, so we might be independent media.
What do you mean, maybe? Free Talk Live is definitely independent.
Good point. You make a good point. I think the people that I would say are not independent media are the Ben Shapiros, the Sean Hannitys, the Mark Levins. These people are not independent media.
Yeah, definitely. They have people that give them money in one way or another that want them to say this or that thing. It's like nobody tells us on Free Talk Live what to say. We just say our actual opinions. And that's actually, like, I actually forgot to give out the phone number, so it's a good timing. I should just say that we also allow you to give out your opinions, or, not have to filter your opinions, or go through APAC to get your opinions. And you can call 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. You can talk about whatever's on your mind. That was the point behind Free Talk Live when my husband Ian Freeman conceived of it, is for anybody to be able to call in at any time and talk about whatever they want, instead of like, the other, the Mark Levins or whatever, if they ever take calls at all.
I mean, they do, but they screen your calls so much, and, they say they have people disagreeing with them, but they're heavily screened.
Yep. I agree. It's like they want you to talk about the subject that you're on, or they're on, and have the opinion they want you to have before they let you on, so.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let, like a politician on and then allow anyone to call in and give them hardball questions or anything.
No, they
like
want to make sure they're given softball questions. They wouldn't want to have the talk show host in question who claims to have an open line on the show. Like Rush Limbaugh would say, I have Open Lines Friday. But, we all know that Open Lines Friday was not Open Lines Friday for Rush Limbaugh. He wouldn't want people calling into the show saying, hey, New Hampshire should secede from the United States.
Right. Probably not. I never heard the ins and outs of specifically Rush Limbaugh's way he ran his show or anything like that, but I'd be really shocked if he was ever just letting people call him without being screened heavily.
Agree. Oh, yeah.
So this is kind of related to the first thing that you brought in. It's from Deseret.com, Utah news publication.
A reputable Utah news outlet, if you will. So reputable.
So they're talking about China and Russia disputing newly released documents, disputing it as evidence that they interfered with the election.
Well, the argument could be made from the conservative side or the Trump fans saying, well, of course Russia and China are saying this. They're liars and thieves. But they don't want to point out that their own government's a liar and a thief, too.
Hopefully this article gets into the actual points that they're making and the points that Trump's documents are making, because I feel like that would be more interesting than just hearing over and over again, and Russia denies it, and Trump says it's happening, and Russia denies it. Like, that's boring. So let's get into it. The article is Russia-China dispute newly released documents showing U.S. election interference. Trump administration released 4 rounds of documents highlighting election security and non-citizen voters. So, top officials from China and Russia are disputing the findings released in newly unclassified documents that show U.S. intelligence officials believed they were interfering with American elections. So I wonder if that's like CIA or who. Like,
I don't know.
Is it FBI? I don't know. The responses come just hours after President Donald Trump on Thursday evening expressed concern about vulnerabilities in the country's voting systems, citing newly classified documents, Trump, in his televised speech, alleged that China participated in what he said is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, starting in 2020. While much of Trump's speech focused on China looking to keep him out of office, the documents released show Russia, Iran, and other nations had special interests in U.S. elections for differing reasons. I would love to know. I don't know, not love to know. It's just like, would be kind of interesting, like, if we had some kind of proof of what their interests were. Like, it'd be crazy if it was exactly what I said.
Yeah.
The first segment. Well, much of Trump's speech... Oh, sorry, I already read that. Speaking to the press Friday, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Zhan said the allegations are false and a serious smear that is vilifying China. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the information was anonymous and Russia had no influence in the U.S. elections. No evidence has been found in the documents that the interference from foreign countries changed or impacted U.S. elections to date, but the Trump administration is announcing changes to the state and local processes from here on out, essentially battening down the hatches and ensuring that it won't happen in the future. Oh, okay. I was like, I seriously thought the article ended there. I was like, seriously, it was exactly what I said. No, there's just like an ad here. But it says, here's a breakdown of what the declassified document said. First, subtitle, China, Russia, and Iran efforts over the years. Wait, what? Oh, wow. Sorry. This picture says, Carmen Sandoval holds her dog Palucci as she votes in California primary election at City Hall on Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. So I guess they had like a...
They had a primary election, yeah.
According to documents released from the CIA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, and the National Intelligence Council, several nations had their sights set on U.S. elections, voter rolls, and technology over the course of the past several general elections. The CIA said it was primarily concerned in an August 2020 report that there was an ongoing and potential influence activity by Russia, China, and Iran. I feel like that sentence is wrong. The report said that they believed Russia was using a wide range of measures primarily to denigrate Biden and his campaign because they viewed him as an anti-Russia establishment. I don't know. Yeah, Trump was the one that was saying he was like friendly with Russia, but wasn't friendly enough to stop the war in Ukraine, like he said on day one.
Obviously not.
That's crazy. And I was wrong on that one because I remember saying like, I don't know, I could see it because he is like he's actually at least like friendly with and calls Vladimir Putin, so maybe he can do something about it. But I feel like maybe he laid it on too heavy and was just like, I'll tell him what to do. You know what I mean? If any of this stuff is true.
I tend to think that Trump wanted to go into office and be like the man who's going to make the most peace deals. But he doesn't know how to make a good peace deal, it sounds like. He's used to doing business negotiations and having people roll over and do what he says because he's the big man. But countries are different.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's that or when he got into office, he was told like, nope, we don't want this to happen, so we're not doing that, things like that. So,
now his handlers want him to go to war in Iran.
Yep, his handlers in Israel.
Yep.
For example, it is directing... What's it? Russia? For example, It is directing or encouraging proxies to spread claims about Vice President Biden. Some Kremlin-linked actors are also seeking to boost President Trump's candidacy on social media, the 2020 report said. So, pre-2020 election, Russia was boosting President Trump's candidacy on social media.
So Russia was supposedly the one who allowed Trump to win?
Well, he didn't win 2020, so they would have failed.
That's true.
The documents show that Russian President Vladimir Putin and other senior Russian officials were overseeing efforts by their proxies to spread claims about Biden and his connections to Ukraine, including claiming he engaged in criminal activities relating to Ukraine. Russia was reportedly, but he did, and I thought that was basically proven, as far as, getting his son, at least it was definitely shady looking, getting his son CEO positions in big companies in Ukraine, and clearly looked like money laundering, allegedly, in my opinion, my unprofessional opinion. Russia was reportedly conspiring to intensify its efforts ahead of the conspiring. It doesn't sound like that's illegal, right? Well, maybe influencing another country's election, but
governments love to have conspiracy charges out there that way can catch supposed criminals like Ian Freeman, who is a supposed criminal by the government standards because he was conspiring to commit money laundering.
Yep, and it's always, it's easy to prove because they make these, I can't remember the words for it, but the things you have to prove in court to get a certain charge seems so freaking flimsy for conspiracy now that I've seen it happen to Ian. Like, in one of the things they said that, like, a wink and a nod, if something can be seen as a wink and a nod, which you can't freaking prove, you cannot prove that somebody did a wink and a nod to somebody else. Like, that's by definition not straight up, hey, I am saying this. You see what I mean?
Yep.
So
if I nod, am I conspiring to sell weed to you now?
Well, it's not just that. It'd be like if you said, like, hey, I totally don't have weed to sell, and then you sold me weed, or even if you didn't, actually, that's kind of the thing that also sucks about conspiracy charges. Like, you don't actually have to do the thing that you're conspiring against. So if you said, hey, I totally don't have weed to sell you, but the jury believed the prosecution story that was you being sarcastic and it was a wink and a nod.
Yeah.
See what I mean? It doesn't have to be a literal nod. It's just like,
they can just give me for conspiracy. Yeah.
Yeah, we think by him saying this, he was saying that he did. He was offering to sell it, and that's conspiracy. I mean, I'm not saying that's necessarily word for word of what I just said is actually the law. I'm just simply saying that that's like a better way to describe the wink and the nod thing. And it's crazy that can get you a actual charge, considering that is literal thought crime. Like,
I know
literal words you said could be, I am not going to do this thing, and they will say, like, well, to us that seemed like it was a wink and a nod. I hate that.
Well, government loves to control the masses, and if they can create criminals out of the masses, they can do so, and they can even use your house as a prison.
Yeah. So, Russia was reportedly conspiring to intensify its efforts ahead of the 2020 election to orchestrate a high-profile corruption scandal that implicated Biden and the Democratic Party. I mean, that just doesn't sound hard. It's all corrupt, so...
Yeah.
Their aim is to defeat the former vice president and ensure the president's victory, because Trump was president at the time, the CIA said in the 2020 report. Additionally, some Russian actors began circulating narratives about voter fraud resulting from the large number of mail-in ballots cast during the COVID-19 pandemic, and said the Democratic Party rigged some primary races that year. Trump did not mention the attacks on Biden's campaign in his remarks. That kind of makes sense because that would have been good for him.
Yeah.
Conversely, the CIA said that it assessed that China preferred Trump be defeated in his attempt to win a second term because in the past few months, China had stepped up public rhetoric criticizing the Trump administration. It's just like, is that really proof that they were actually trying to influence the election? Like, they're not allowed to have an opinion? You know what I mean? Like,
I completely agree with you on this. Why can't Russia and China have opinions on who should win the U.S. election? It's not like are they actually... Does the article talk about whether Russia or China are taking ads out with Facebook or social media to say, hey, we want these people to win?
I don't know. It specifically did mention social media, but it was just said like campaigns. It didn't say like if they're, ads specifically. That's a good question. It said, we assess that China prefers that the president whom Beijing sees as unpredictable and tough on China does not win the re-election, the document said. The assessment said China didn't intend to try to affect the election, but participated in online influencing campaigns by spreading derogatory information about some U.S. officials. It was recommended to China to collect derogatory black materials on Trump and tasked its groups within the U.S. to incite protests that damaged Trump's public standing to impact his chances for re-election. The early summer of 2020 was marked by racial divides and mass protests nationwide after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. China was seeking to capitalize on it, knowing that racial conflict would be a large factor in the election. China uses mostly incitements and occasionally coercion to extract more pro-China positions and punish those whom Beijing views as opposed to China's interests, the National Intelligence Council said in a report.
And the U.S. government has never interfered in anyone's elections whatsoever.
Yeah, right. Didn't they just also go kidnap an actual president in Venezuela?
Yeah, they did. And, you know, if Trump were kidnapped by a foreign country, man, Americans would be uproar.
I mean, I'd
There'd
be scared
uproar
for
across
sure.
the United States.
I'd be pretty scared if that happened.
I agree. I would be too. I'm like, oh my God, they're coming after us.
The council said it believed China likely calculated that a concerted effort to influence the election would backfire and offer uncertain benefit, but also acknowledged that critical statements could tip the scales in the race. China was looking at several areas where it could influence public opinion ahead of the election, according to a sensitive government agency that had been redacted from the document. U.S. intelligence believed China was looking to exploit U.S. societal fissures and vulnerabilities. China particularly wanted to encourage violent demonstrations. But this is weird because way up here it said, like, China, they assessed that China didn't intend to try to affect the election, but then it's like, China wanted violent demonstrations.
Yeah.
And yeah, China's the reason for George Floyd's stuff.
Allegedly.
To make it look like societal unrest, undermine Trump's supporters, and intensify Americans' disapproval related to economic concerns. They also wanted to increase public dissatisfaction with the way Trump handled the pandemic. Additionally, China wanted to capitalize on racial tensions that year by inciting demonstrations and marches, increasing the level of conflict between police and anti-racism activists, and increase the narrative that U.S. law enforcement officers resent people of color. Other social areas targeted by China were women's rights, disagreements over immigration and gun rights, and war and foreign policy. Iran was working a social media campaign looking to undermine the current president and the U.S. democratic institutions and to divide the country ahead of the general election. Wouldn't it just be funny if like none of this was happening, like none of these countries cared?
It would be hilarious.
The 2020 report found that Iran believes the Trump administration wanted regime change, and so it was looking to keep him from having another term. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei probably, and that's in quotes, probably authorized the influence campaign online. Khamenei was killed in February when the U.S. began its war with Iran. So, I mean, if true, he had a reason to be paranoid. Trump has stated the military action wasn't to change the regime, but instead it's been a perk to have eliminated top Iranian leaders in their efforts to stop them from building a nuclear weapon. I'm laughing, but it's also like really messed up, but I don't think the United States should be doing things like that, but
I agree.
Kind of a messed up way to say that. It's just a perk that the government or the president was killed or whatever he was.
Yeah.
It's a supreme
leader.
Is that really what they call him there? That sounds like North Korea.
I don't know what they call him there. That's Trump's term for them. I don't know if it's called a supreme leader over there. I have no idea. I don't know if it's called the Ayatollah. I don't know. I don't know enough about Iran to say for sure.
Me either. It says Trump during his remarks this Thursday, because he came out with all these things that got declassified. Trump during his remarks Thursday evening stressed the importance of lawmakers passing the Save America Act.
Which isn't going to save America, by the way.
Usually the acts are the opposite of what they say they'll do. It's Republicans' latest sweeping reform bill that is looking to establish proof of citizenship and voter ID requirements for federal elections. Sounds like more tracking of our personal information to me.
I agree with you there, and it sounds like a definite crackdown on what's going to happen with the elections. Maybe we'll have more federal officials monitoring things. I don't know.
Good thing I don't want to vote ever again, so in the federal elections. I think your local elections are much more important.
They
I'm going to vote
definitely
for
are.
Riley.
Yeah, you could vote for me.
Oh yeah, we should give out your website and stuff, if it's ready, if you want it.
It's mostly ready. Like there's a lot of things that need to be worked on. You can find it at that's C as in Charlie, RileyBlake4nh.com.
And more Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. You can call 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us. That's 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's Free Talk Live.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. In addition to being one of the world's first cryptocurrencies, Dash was the first crypto project to have a decentralized autonomous organization that to this day continues to improve and promote Dash. Every month, 10% of the mining rewards go into a treasury. Anyone with one Dash to spend can put forward a proposal to the Dash masternodes. The masternodes vet the proposals and decide which ones move forward and are funded by that treasury. Nowadays, DAOs are plentiful, but Dash paved the way by doing it first, nearly a decade ago. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. US President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over this week, but says Washington has agreed to continue negotiations as mediators scramble to prevent further escalation. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Israeli intelligence has uncovered a fresh Iranian plot to assassinate the US president. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The US has been saying that Iran has been plotting potentially to kill President Trump in retaliation for the US strikes that killed their military leader Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Now, interestingly, this story also comes at a time where just after the New York Times has been reporting that President Trump didn't leave Turkey, the NATO summit in Turkey, in the new Qatari Air Force One, but he left in the older version of Air Force One because of security precautions.
Iran's new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, did not appear at the burial of his father, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Thursday, as Pakistan and Qatar work urgently to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. The contradictory signals from the White House had left mediators uncertain about the American position. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
On the one hand, you had Donald Trump declaring the ceasefire was over, but also saying that he thinks talks could continue, saying that the US should finish the job, but he doesn't want to return to all-out war. And it's hard to know if this is part of his negotiating tactic to kind of put extra pressure on Tehran, or whether it is just genuinely him being frustrated one minute and then changing his mind the next.
Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Moscow in 2 years this week, with more than 430 drones targeting the Russian capital and surrounding regions. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted more than 450 drones across the country, while all four of Moscow's major airports imposed temporary flight restrictions during the barrage. The attack came as NATO leaders gathered in Ankara for a summit at which major new military assistance for Ukraine was expected to be pledged. Dasha Chinashova reports from Moscow.
The MOD says more than 400 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over different parts of Russia over the course of this past night, most notably in the Rostov region. The air raid sirens were on all night long. In the Taganrog Bay, 2 tankers have been hit by the Ukrainian drones. They were not carrying any oil, so the authorities say that there was no oil spill in the waters as the tankers were heading to the Rostov-on-Don port. We're also hearing about the major attack against the Saratov region. One person got killed there and 2 others got injured in the Tatarstan regions.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. You can call in, get in on the conversation with us, and bring up whatever's on your mind. You can change the subject, tell us we're wrong. It doesn't really matter. It's Free Talk Live, so it's up to you. And if you're tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites, our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley O'Bell.
And in the last segment, we were talking about all the reasons Trump believes that other countries interfered with the elections and why he believes that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Because he lost to Biden.
Yep.
According to, let's say, the official numbers. And
maybe it was stolen, maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
Right, I'm not claiming to have, like, honestly an opinion at all. Like, I would be 0% shocked if somehow he can prove that the election was stolen, honestly.
If he can figure out how to really prove it, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you, man. But at this point, I'm just not 100% sold on it being stolen either way. Like, I whether Biden wins or Trump wins or Hillary wins, I'm not going to be claiming, oh, the election was stolen. I'm like, well, I guess this is our supposed leader now.
I mean, there's been, like, so many cases of election fraud, even in the United States throughout the years. Like, I listened to Roger Stone's book about JFK, and he believes that Lyndon B. Johnson was behind his murder. Not, like, literally the one that pulled the trigger, but he's the one that got him to get murdered, you know, like, caused him to get murdered.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
And the story in that book that it tells about how LBJ stole the election for senator in Texas where he lived, wow, that was, like, shocking, utter, filthy tricks. It was insane. There was, like, this guy that was, like, a shoo-in to win. I don't remember his name. And he was a Democrat in Texas, but, you know, more like he was a business owner or, like, farmer that was beloved by the town, and I think he already was, like, the incumbent, and he didn't have all the fancy things to go around campaigning with, but he was still beating LBJ in all the polls and whatnot, because he was, like, beloved, like I said.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And literally people went in there and, like, hid boxes of votes and stuff like that, and it was, like, proven, like, this is, like, not a conspiracy. It was such horrible, dirty tricks, but it was like too late or something at that point.
Wow.
By the time it was figured out. I don't know if that was, like, years after, like, if LBJ was, like, dead when it was figured out, or I just don't recall right now if it said in that book, but that was a crazy story. A really interesting book, too. I don't remember what it's called, but Roger Stone's book about LBJ possibly having killed JFK.
So it's entirely possible the Bidens could have stolen the election from Trump, but I'm personally not convinced, and it sounds like you're not convinced either.
I'm not convinced. I'm more like it could literally be either way. It could just be. I would be shocked if people who were as far into about to win the presidency, if they weren't into cheating and rigging things.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Like, you got all the way up to now you're the top 2 people running for president of the United States. Like, what are honestly, it makes no sense if you're not trying to cheat. Like, especially since, like, it doesn't require any morals to begin with to want that position or get that position.
Well, if the Democrats are blaming Trump for stealing the election, or Elon stealing the election for them, they're gonna try and cheat harder this election, I guess.
Oh, are they claim that currently, that, like, Elon helped Trump win?
That's a conspiracy going around. I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't heard any other people on the left say it. I've heard maybe 1 or 2 people on the left say it, but it's mostly on X. And X is just a crazy show at this point.
And one thing I just can't believe, and I'm really, like, surprised by, as far as these articles we've been reading tonight on Free Talk Live about the elections being rigged, is, like, sometimes they're characterizing things as, like, rigging. They're just like, what? Doesn't every single person on the planet have the right to put their opinions on the internet? Like,
yeah.
Like, we think Trump should win. Oh, that's rigging against Biden. You see what I mean? Like,
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Even if you're a foreign country, like, I don't get it. Like, if their words are so harmful, come out and retweet them and talk about how wrong they are. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I guess maybe I could kind of see the difference between, like, we're tweeting from Beijing. This is our official opinion, and throwing out millions of bots that all pretend that they all have the same opinion. You see what I mean? And they're like, we are an American citizen and we are voting for Biden or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I could see the difference. But it hasn't really gotten into the whys and hows. And we were talking about this, how we were like interested in learning. So Trump, during his remarks Thursday evening, stressed the importance of, this is from Deseret.com, by the way.
Reputable news source.
Trump, during his remarks Thursday evening, stressed the importance of lawmakers passing the Save America Act, and that's like capital SAVE, so it probably stands for something.
It does, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure we'll learn in the article.
We talked about this earlier on the show, and I mentioned it earlier, but it's not going to save America.
Yep, usually those things have opposite effects, like the Patriot Act and
Wasn't very
Clarity
patriotic,
Act.
yep.
It's Republicans' latest sweeping reform bill that is looking to establish proof of citizenship and voter ID requirements for federal elections. It passed in the House already, but faces an uphill battle in the Senate. Wow, I had not heard it already passed in the House even. Trump said he won't sign other bills until they approve the Save America Act.
Oh, man.
Whoa. So we have a caller on the line, and we've been talking about this for a while, so let's go straight to the phones. Turd Ferguson in Pennsylvania, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, for the record, Donald Trump is not the biggest troll of all time.
Oh. Who is?
I am the biggest troll of all time.
Okay. Awesome.
In terms of reach, come on now.
Well, maybe not in terms of reach, but in terms of effectiveness, I am, in fact, the greatest troll.
Is that because you got Cantwell to run away from his fight with Arya?
I did do that. I gotta say, I wasn't even trying. Then.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm a way better troll these days than I was back then. I mean, of course now I'm 6 or 7 years wiser and smarter.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a good troll back then, but not like I am now. That's for sure. I just got this absolutely badass new T-shirt. It says Tucker Carlson for President 2028.
Is that
Got
a troll?
big picture. Well, apparently, I didn't know it was going to be, but apparently it is. I don't even try. I mean, I just think it's an awesome T-shirt, but
What do you mean you
that's
didn't?
not-
It is apparently a troll, and you didn't mean. I don't get it.
yeah, well, I mean, you should see the nasty things people have been saying to me the last couple of days.
In person
I
or
don't
like
thi-
online?
No, in person.
Really?
Although
That's surprising.
Although I will say, most of the people that have been saying stuff to me, they definitely don't live in Shrewsbury. The reason why I know that is because they only say it while I'm walking in and out of Walmart in the Walmart parking lot. And that, and plus I can just tell by looking at them that they're not from this town.
This is kind of funny.
But,
I'm wearing my shirt that says Madonna for president right now. Not exactly
well, I
like
gotta say-
a troll. I just love Madonna.
Yeah, it's not a troll, but Madonna, for how old she is, she's still pretty good looking.
I know people
I mean,
keep bringing up her like bad plastic surgery, but it's like over now. I don't know if she got stuff reversed or if her face just like stopped swelling or something like that. Because like
it's
right.
just the swelling went down.
It's probably what it is.
Her plastic surgery looks good. Yeah, just you got to wait till all the swelling and crap goes down before you can really judge it. That's what people weren't doing. They got to give her a chance to recover. You know what I mean?
What do you
people
think-
don't understand.
What do you think Madonna's
stabbed?
What do you think Madonna's foreign policy would be like, Turd?
I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be. I think it would be. Turd Ferguson gets to go have sex with all the women in the foreign countries, and then there's world peace.
I doubt it. I think the Madonna would do a good job because she's just like famously like friends with everybody, like music, mix the people and makes them come together or whatever those lyrics are right now.
People who aren't politicians are way better at politicking than politicians are. A lot of people forget that Dennis Rodman is probably the single greatest foreign diplomat of our generation. Dennis Rodman, the freak basketball player who nobody liked, single-handedly did more for North Korea-U.S. relations than any other politician, any other president, any other quote-unquote diplomat in history.
It's just
Dennis
so
Rodman's
weird.
just a basketball player.
Yeah,
It
he went
is
to
a
North
little
Korea.
strange, Bonnie, but it doesn't surprise me either because, basketball player, celebrity, people like him. They send him over to North Korea to talk. Well, he's going to create some relationships, all right.
Hey, how did that happen? Like, did the president over there or dictator or whatever say, hey, we want you to send Dennis Rodman because we're like basketball fans? Or how did that happen? Did he say he wants to go?
Well, I don't know, but he went over there and definitely watched some basketball games with their two competing. It's probably North Korea versus North Korea.
Yeah.
But Dennis Rodman went over there. I mean, Kim Jong-un clearly likes him. So, and he's done more for that aspect of foreign policy than any other president, that's for sure. And so God bless Dennis Rodman. What a great man he is. I have a lot of respect for him. It's incredible what he's done. I have a lot of respect for me too. I wish more people had the amount of respect for me than I do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I gotta say one thing is every time Turd comes on the show and says like, oh, the sexiest women live in my part of the country, we're always kind of like scoffing, like, why would they live in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania? And I didn't even think of the fact that he's always saying that. And I was saying to Ian every time he called me, because I went to visit Ian in Pennsylvania, it's not Shrewsbury specifically, but it's honestly a similar part of the state. Like, it's not far at all. Like, I think you had said that he's like 2 hours away from you. And anyways, I tweeted how, and I had been telling Ian how every time I went to like a little local coffee shop, either like in downtown Lewisburg, I felt like it was like in the 80s, like people all being friends and hanging out and talking in real life. And they were all like attractive young people. And I was like, wow, this is like different. Like, this is like everybody seems so nice, attractive, happy, hanging out. And I really like Pennsylvania. And I said, like, on Twitter, I was like, I think Pennsylvania has particularly pretty women. And then Turd commented like, well, that's a base take. And I was like, oh yeah, Turd is always saying this. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot of pretty women in this state. That's for sure. I see them. You want to know how I know? Because I see them every day when I go to the gym. And not only that, but I try to. Well, never mind. As you already know.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, yeah, they look great down here at the gym at Mad Fit here in Shrewsbury. That's how we do it here in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania. But I wouldn't. Also, I probably will be moving out to Hollywood pretty soon. Although I do think that, I'll obviously split my time. But my sense is that probably a lot of pretty good looking women live in Hollywood too.
Yeah, like the only time I've ever been to California at all, other than like airport, was Sacramento, which isn't exactly like Hollywood. And even then, I was in high school and I was like, it just seems like everybody here is also like beautiful and happy,
Yeah. Well, Sacramento is probably not the pinnacle of female attractiveness in California, but I'm sensing there's probably at least a few good-looking women there in Sacramento.
Yeah, just saying like California in general probably has that whole like Californication like effect where everybody wants to look good because they're in the
As a matter of fact, there's a song about it. It goes, California girls, they're undeniable. Daisy Dukes, bikinis on top. And something about sun-kissed skin.
Yep.
And they're being so hot, they'll melt your popsicle.
That's true. That's a song. Do you have anything else to tell us?
Katy Perry sang it.
Turd?
I don't know. I could go all night, but I guess that's it.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, wasn't trying to kick you off, but more Free Talk Live, more calls for the next group of people that want to call. 603-283-6160 is the phone number to get in on the conversation. And as I always say whenever we get off the phone with Turd, clearly you can call in about whatever you want.
You clearly can. Oh, yeah.
So we were reading about the evidence that Trump brought to say that the election was stolen. So let's see. I wonder if anybody else has any opinions on this. They can call 603-283-6160. But so Trump has apparently said he won't sign any other bills until I think it's the Senate approves the Save America Act. To all Americans, I ask you to pick up your phone tomorrow, call your representatives in the House and Senate. Maybe this was before the House passed it. And demand that they pass the Save America Act without delay, Trump said Thursday. The legislation has been championed by Utah Senator Mike Lee, who said in a statement to the Deseret News that it's been amazing to see Trump embrace the legislation he introduced. Lee said many Americans are shocked to discover it's not already national policy. But what is it? Has it really explained? Just the United States citizen. Okay.
My question is, what proof of citizenship is the Save America Act going to demand? I mean, I know when I've voted in Utah and New Hampshire, I've had to show ID. Are there states that don't require people to show ID to vote?
Well, in New Hampshire, I think that only became a law since the last election, because Ian and I are always voting without ID.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep.
How do they know? How do they know that you are?
You sign something that you would be using court against you if you're lying.
Okay.
Or what it's called.
Okay.
So the United States. Wait, so he said, yeah, people are usually shocked to discover it's not already national policy. The United States should not have a less secure voting system than Bulgaria or Bangladesh, Mike Lee said. That's kind of random. Like, why those random countries?
Maybe because they have real secure elections? I don't know.
I don't know if that's the point. I think he's, I don't know, either way. Apparently, yeah, maybe those ones already require it, and those are like famously required or something like that. I don't know. According to documents released by the Department of Homeland Security, national security investigations related to non-citizen voting and registration, more than 250,000 non-citizens are illegally registered to vote in just the 4 states for which public data files have been reviewed. The 4 states include California, Pennsylvania, that's weird, we just talked about those 2 states, New Jersey, and Nevada. DHS has said that it has been notified of the serious threat to national security. Okay, that's kind of an interesting point, because it's like, if China wanted to influence elections, or another country, whichever, wouldn't it be the most direct way to actually send people to come be here illegally and vote, even if they leave after? But, yeah.
It's interesting to me that we're having this discussion so close again to the midterms, and I think Trump's trying to, secure his power, secure his authority, and make sure that, he keeps winning. So he's got to bring up election integrity.
So the DHS has said that 10 states have processed their full voter lists, and they have identified more than 400,000 deceased registrants.
Interesting.
And more than 28,000 non-citizens. Each of the proactive states is led by Republicans, the report showed, and the DHS noted the unambiguous contrast between state leadership and non-citizens on voter rolls. Also included in the release of the declassified documents was information related to a debunked Michigan voter fraud investigation. Well, the thing it said about it being worse in Democrat-run states. Well, Sarah, you can retire from your job of going out there and trying to get the college students to vote Democrat, because they already have 400,000 deceased people registered to vote Democrat for you. So
there you go, Sarah. The deceased will be voting
They're
Democrat.
taking Sarah out of a job.
Yep.
So also included in the release of the declassified documents was information related to a debunked Michigan voter fraud investigation. Trump said in his remarks that the documents are evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation during the 2020 election cycle. Did he lose Michigan, maybe? I don't remember, honestly.
I don't either.
The allegations were investigated both at the state level and by the FBI, with officials saying no illegal ballots were sent via mail or cast. It's honestly hard to believe that none, not one. Trump argued that under the Biden administration, no one involved in the case was prosecuted. The Michigan Advance pointed out the case was closed after Trump took office for his second term, with the Detroit Bureau of the FBI saying no further investigation was needed, as all leads had been exhausted. Still, Trump pointed to broader election security and the importance of election integrity as the countdown to the November midterm election is on. He said that every American, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, or otherwise, should be able to agree that we deserve the most secure, honest, and fair election system anywhere in the world. Documents released Thursday show intelligence agencies believe systems designed to tabulate votes, transmit vote amounts, or display election results probably are vulnerable to localized exploitation, but noted that it would be difficult to manipulate at scale. Trump has long believed that there was widespread corruption in the 2020 election that rigged or stole the race from him. Since the pandemic was still happening that November, Americans voted in historic numbers through mail-in ballots. When results showed Biden won, Trump and some allies claimed that there were issues with mail-in ballots, voting machines, and foreign interference. I mean, honestly, to be fair, I think that Trump was already saying that before the elections.
Yeah, he was.
But in the years since, state audits and recounts confirmed Biden won. Trump said Thursday he wasn't trying to weaken Americans' trust in elections, but said they would be confronting vulnerabilities to the systems. One thing that is kind of being finally like coming up in my head about this is it's a little concerning that Trump could be, you know, kind of like trying to look for a way to give the feds more power over the states in any way. You know what I mean? Like, and in this case, it would be like, well, you know, we can't trust them to recount. We can't trust them to do it all right at all. We need to, it just to be
We need
run
to
by
make
the
sure
feds
that
in
the
general.
states let the feds handle it.
Exactly, like that.
We got to
could
make
be
sure ICE handles the
where this is
elections.
going. Yeah. Trump said Thursday he wasn't trying to weaken. Oh, sorry. The 2020 report stated that hackers have repeatedly demonstrated that some voting machines are easy to compromise. Additionally, the administration highlighted, and you know, Penguin always has this, the easiest way to just stop this from happening is just use open source voting machines.
Yeah.
And it would be over.
Yep, and then we can look at the code.
Yep. Additionally, the administration highlighted how China accessed voter roll information in 2022 in several states, including Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Michigan, Oklahoma, and Rhode Island. In a letterhead dated July 13th, the Trump administration announced declassified intelligence reveals that voter registration rolls from at least 18 states were compromised by China. Additionally, more than 200 million voter records were also compromised without state-specific affiliations. The letter said Trump is alerting congressional and state government leaders to the vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, this is not a new phenomenon. Unclassified reports from the last decade reveal that statewide voter registration databases are attractive targets for foreign adversaries, the Department of Homeland Security said in its report. DHS outlined that it's important to tighten up security because foreign actors could have access to Americans' names, date of birth, addresses, and sensitive information like driver's license numbers and full or partial social security numbers. I don't understand how requiring more ID changes this.
I don't either.
A bad actor could use that information, alter or delete it ahead of an election. DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen said on Friday that would be requiring states to scrub their voter databases in the future. Voter registration... Wait, so DHS Secretary. Wow, they're going to require states to scrub their voter databases.
Oh, wow.
Voter registration databases are the foundation of our voting system. State and local officials must prioritize system security and implement safeguards to prevent the exploitation of data that may have already been exposed. Oh, so you're doing something too late? Sounds like the government. More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Everyone needs to get a justice shed. So you have a place to throw that little juvenile delinquent you caught loitering out on the street corner. This is not rocket science, people. I just call up my neighbors, Frank and Terry. We get out there with baseball bats, fishing nets, and we knock that suspect out. And we toss him in our justice shed. We just start dealing out some shovel beatings. That's democracy, people. That's the biggest benefit of the justice shed, people. You are in charge.
Our justice shed was all filled up, so we created this justice cage. It's just as good.
These guys, I think we caught them shoplifting, and this is my daughter's boyfriend.
Look, if you don't have a yard big enough to place a justice shed in, go out and get yourself a justice barrel. I don't care. The important thing is to take control of your safety by any means necessary.
This is the Onion News Network.
Eleutheromania. The insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. US President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over this week, but says Washington has agreed to continue negotiations as mediators scramble to prevent further escalation. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Israeli intelligence has uncovered a fresh Iranian plot to assassinate the US president, and the New York Times reports that President Trump left the NATO summit in Turkey aboard the older Air Force One rather than the new Qatari-funded aircraft because of security concerns. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The US has been saying that Iran has been plotting potentially to kill President Trump in retaliation for the US strikes that killed their military leader Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Now, interestingly, this story also comes at a time where just after the New York Times has been reporting that President Trump didn't leave Turkey, the NATO summit in Turkey, in the new Qatari Air Force One, but he left in the older version of Air Force One because of security precautions.
Iran's new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, did not appear at the burial of his father, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Thursday, as Pakistan and Qatar work urgently to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. The contradictory signals from the White House had left mediators uncertain about the American position. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
On the one hand, you had Donald Trump declaring the ceasefire was over, but also saying that he thinks talks could continue, saying that the US should finish the job, but he doesn't want to return to all-out war. And it's hard to know if this is part of his negotiating tactic to kind of put extra pressure on Tehran, or whether it is just genuinely him being frustrated one minute and then changing his mind the next.
Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Moscow in 2 years this week, with more than 430 drones targeting the Russian capital and surrounding regions. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted more than 450 drones across the country, while all 4 of Moscow's major airports imposed temporary flight restrictions during the barrage. The attack came as NATO leaders gathered in Ankara for a summit at which major new military assistance for Ukraine was expected to be pledged. Dasha Chernysheва reports from Moscow.
The MOD says more than 400 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over different parts of Russia over the course of this past night, most notably in the Rostov region. The air raid sirens were on all night long. In the Taganrog Bay, 2 tankers have been hit by the Ukrainian drones. They were not carrying any oil, so the authorities say that there was no oil spill in the waters as the tankers were heading to the Rostov-on-Don port. We're also hearing about the major attack against the Saratov region. 1 person got killed there and 2 others got injured in the Tatarstan regions.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese have signed a landmark uranium supply agreement in Melbourne enabling Australian exports to fuel India's civilian nuclear program. The deal, struck at the third India-Australia annual summit on Thursday, is designed to support New Delhi's ambitious clean energy targets as the country seeks to decarbonise its power sector and heavy industry. The two leaders also signed a joint declaration on defence and security cooperation and announced a new critical minerals corridor. Ishan Garg reports from New Delhi.
The headline has certainly been the uranium supply deal. This is something that's been in the works for more than 10 years now. And this is crucial for India because just last year in 2025, the Indian government set itself a very ambitious target of producing 100 gigawatts of clean energy using nuclear fuel. And this comes at a time when India has been pivoting hard towards sources of energy which are non-polluting.
And finally, in the UK, the governing Labour Party and opposition Conservatives and Liberal Democrats say they will not stand in a by-election being triggered by Nigel Farage. The Reform UK leader is resigning as an MP to stand in a by-election in Clacton. He says it's a fight against the establishment and denies any wrongdoing as allegations swirl about his financial arrangements and donors. Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said Nigel Farage is having a political tantrum.
It's like Nigel Farage has just decided, well, the normal rules in politics that say, do you know what, if you get millions of pounds in donations, you need to declare it because, frankly, everybody needs to know there's not something dodgy going on. They need to know whether or not, who it's come from, whether there's any conditions, what is going on, because that is just about the normal rules of politics and it's what the public have a right to know.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Welcome back to the war for the White House bunker. A troubling new report from the Shuttleworth Institute shows that due to Facebook, every potential candidate for the 2040 presidential race, no matter how smart or accomplished, is now completely unelectable. I'm standing in the 2012 Democrat Grid with Jason Copeland. Jason, walk us through this.
Yeah, we're looking at really a political crisis. The Democrats are currently searching basements and creepy backyard sheds in search of somebody who was kidnapped at a young enough age that they have no online presence.
That is a very interesting tactic.
And the GOP has been looking at this young man. This is a 20-year-old Jeeves Jones. He's currently living in Appalachia with his fundamentalist Christian grandmother and no electricity.
So Jeeves has no Facebook page?
Jeeves does not. In fact, he's completely illiterate. And the Republican Party has begun grooming him for a possible candidacy in 2036.
All right. Well, at least there's someone. Thank you, Jason Copeland.
Thanks, Andrea.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 to get in on the conversation with us and bring up whatever's on your mind. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley O'Bill.
And again, that number is 603-283-6160. And we have multiple other things to move on to talking about. I feel like, honestly, didn't learn much about. We were like, I'd like to know what Trump is saying proves that the election was stolen from him in 2020. And it was a lot of like, and the CIA's report said that China was online saying another person should win, or,
So it didn't sound like, it sounded kind of like a nothing burger to me. I don't know if you'd agree with me on that, would you? Yeah, kind of a nothing burger. So I don't know. It's, Trump, you wasted your time.
I'm not sure if this is exactly in the same vein when it says a dirty trick on the ballot, but this article from the Wall Street Journal says a Massachusetts ballot dirty trick. Democrats commit a drafting error, but that's in quotes, like error, maybe implying that it's on purpose, that kills a tax cut initiative. That's bad.
Yeah, definitely.
When you can't win on merits, try a technicality. That's how the eyebrow-raising tale in Massachusetts, where a state court in June struck down a tax cut ballot measure on grounds it provided an inaccurate summary. The catch, the summary was written by a Democrat, and it may not have been an accident. The ballot measure from Boston-based Mass Opportunity Alliance, a coalition of pro-growth business groups, proposed to lower the state's 5% income tax rate to 4% by 2029. The state's 4% surtax on income over $1 million was unaffected. The new rate would have applied to income such as wages, as well as long-term capital gains that are taxed like income in Massachusetts. Simple enough. So a 1% decrease, but whatever. The question easily collected more than 75,000 signatures to get on the ballot. Wow, 75,000. And a 2026 Boston Globe Suffolk University poll showed some 66% of voters supported the income tax cut. That's surprising with all the Republican-leaning people or, conservative-leaning people leaving the state of Massachusetts.
It is kind of surprising because, Democrats are not known for wanting to cut taxes.
Yep, apparently even some Democrats are tired of it and want some more of their money back.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the high grocery store prices and things like that. Like the cost of living is getting so ridiculous, it seems insane to be giving the government your money, and it feels like for what?
Well, most people think like, oh, well, the police are going to be taken care of, hopefully. But, at the end of the day, the government just steals your money and does nothing with it.
Yep. Except for things for themselves.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of parasites feeding off your money and energy and...
So maybe you should start sending your money to valuable causes, like your favorite church down the street or your favorite coffee chain.
The problem with that, Riley, is why would I sit there and try to fund some church when my money is actually already being taken from me from the state? It's like, you need to live as well. And that's the problem. It's like, if the state wasn't highly taxing people, or in my opinion, taxing people at all, then people could make those decisions a lot more easily. But right now, people are not being able to make simple ends meet.
I agree with you, and that's the problem, is we're not able to make ends meet because the governments are taxing us to death.
Yep.
Literally.
Under the state's procedures, a group of voters called petitioners drafts the text of a proposed ballot measure and submits it to the state attorney general. The AG then writes a summary used to gather signatures. Oh, something similar to this happens in New Hampshire, where it's the law commission or something like that. They write up the state reps' bills.
Okay.
And it's not exactly like, it sounds kind of like, hey, that's weird or creepy, but in reality, it's just like, okay, so here's the idea of the bill you want to put forward, but we have to put it in the correct legal context. And I don't see any problem with that as long as they're not writing bills incorrectly, because you can always appeal that, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Hopefully.
The AG then writes a summary used to gather signatures and, if successful, appear on the ballot. The summary is supposed to be fair and neutral regarding the measure's substance. That should be straightforward, but when the proponents of the ballot measure submitted their text to Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell, her office changed the wording in a way that made it convoluted and inaccurate.
Well, she's a Campbell. Campbells are liars.
What do you mean?
So I bring that up as a joke because the McDonald's and the Campbells have always been Scottish clans that have been in fights for centuries, and I just jokingly say the Campbells are liars.
Oh, okay. Wonder if she's related.
Maybe.
Her office changed the wording in a way that made it convoluted and inaccurate. The summary she prepared told voters that the change wouldn't lower the rate on capital gains. That's not accurate, and the court ruled to invalidate the measure. That's kind of messed up. They should just get a chance to restart. The summary's contrary statement is not a minor imprecision, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court wrote. It is significantly misleading and likely to influence voters. All of this might be chalked up to bureaucratic bungling, if not for the suspicious details. After the summary text was finalized, 8 voters aligned with Raise Up Massachusetts, a progressive coalition that supports tax increases, challenged the ballot measure in court. curiously, none of the measure's opponents publicly objected to the AG's wording before it was finalized. AG Campbell knew that the tax measure enraged the Democrats. Governor Maura Healey called the measure very, very harmful and said that if it were approved, you're going to see 65% of all funding for education go away.
Oh, boo-hoo.
They don't get to, what's it called? All of a sudden, I'm forgetting the word. Propagandize our kids. That's not the word I'm looking for. Brainwash our kids. Closer to the word I'm looking for.
Something like that. Definitely the government schools are rife with brainwashing the kids.
Yep. And honestly, 65% of all funding, that's probably wouldn't even touch, the amount of bloat.
No.
Because it really shouldn't take that much to give people a basic education, which the government really shouldn't be in the business of giving people their education in life in general. Instead, it's like literally forced on you. In a state like Massachusetts, it's probably very hard to homeschool. So you have to get your head filled with things that the state wants.
And the state wants you to pledge allegiance to a flag, be in straight rows in the desks, and they give you the worst education possible.
Yep. Education is completely failing in the United States with all kinds of metrics like illiteracy rates going up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She just blows my mind. So yeah, she said it's very, very harmful. The governor of Massachusetts said it's very, very harmful, and if approved, you're going to see 65% of all funding for education go away. And the budget for cities and towns would be significantly reduced. Isn't this all over a 1% tax decrease on the, the population's income? It's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy. I have to wonder if this is just propaganda from the left to make it seem like the taxation being lowered is a bad idea.
The Attorney General's office says the summary it drafted accurately described what the ballot question would do without describing ancillary effects caused by existing law. But if the wording was problematic, it could have been corrected for the November ballot. That option got no support from the AG. Democrats couldn't be happier with their own error wrought. Massachusetts Senate President Karen Spilka says she is ecstatic. Not so elated are voters who saw their right to direct democracy subverted by a dirty trick. Sounds like it to me. That is crazy. Sounds like Massachusetts.
Crazy. Yeah, it's Massachusetts for you. They don't want to let the people lower the taxes or vote to lower the taxes. They'd rather just keep your taxes high and pretend that everything's just fine.
I and Lori interviewed a state rep in New Hampshire named Jonah Wheeler, and he told us about how in Massachusetts, when your state rep writes a bill, they hand it over, and apparently in New Hampshire, it is also like a physical folder with your bill in it, and you go and hand it to, I think it's the head of your party, and then that person goes and puts it somewhere, and then it, gets voted on and all that stuff. It gets its day in the commission and everything, and every single bill gets that. But he said in Massachusetts, you hand your bill you wrote as a state representative over to, whoever it is, the head of their party, and they can put it in a desk drawer and never bring it back out and not ever let it see the light of day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's totally legal. It's not like it's not illegal. It's crazy.
Why is that legal in Massachusetts? Do you know?
It's just the way it's set up. It's
okay.
I don't know. Just don't know.
That's a little weird.
So that's all from that story, and it's not surprising. But wow, the gang of that is some gang activity, right?
It is definitely gang
government
activity.
Is a gang.
It definitely behaves like one, and maybe we should call it a gang more often, or the mafia.
That's how they act. This story from the Washington Post.
Another reputable news source.
It's so funny. Their subtitle of their own website now says, The Washington Post, Democracy Dies in Darkness.
That's funny.
I am interested in this story mostly because I don't have a strong opinion on data centers, and I feel like I could so easily be swayed one way or the other like, oh, I see their point here. Oh, wait, but I see the other side's point now. And I don't really have a strong opinion, and I haven't like put any effort towards really getting an opinion on this. So let's see what they're reporting about it. This is from the WashingtonPost.com. Data centers have united Americans of both parties in a shared hatred. Feeling ignored by political and economic powers, people are rallying against computer hubs over concerns about their community's future. So that shows pictures of like in different places people have been actually like out with I guess you like a protest sign. No data center, protect something. Oh, protect DecaturTownship.org. No data center traffic. No data centers. We do not comply. I feel like they're stealing some of our language recently. It's like, we do not comply. You better not be the same people who complied during COVID tyranny, saying crap like that. We do not comply with a data center existing. It's a little stupid.
It is a little stupid, especially if since you brought up COVID, if they're the ones that say you should comply to the government orders to wear a mask because there's a scamdemic or a plandemic or whatever you want to call it, and they're complaining about data centers, yeah, you're a little hypocritical, and you do comply to some things, but not other things.
Right. It's kind of like the no kings. It's like you just want the king that you like.
Yeah.
So Kyle Schmidt ticked through what makes him irate about the massive Google data center slated for construction about a mile away from his home near Sand Springs, Oklahoma. He didn't like that residents were kept in the dark about what would be built on a pristine tract of mostly forested land. He's worried about the data center's potential impact on the community's water supply and on the dream home that his family moved into last year. What Schmidt said really bothers him is the powerlessness he felt as the project advanced and elected officials, Google representatives, and bigwig data centers backers belittled. Wait, hold on. He felt as the project advanced and elected officials, Google representatives, and bigwig data center backers belittled or misled people who raised concerns. I hate bullies, said Schmidt, a 43-year-old flooring salesman and project manager who leads a community group opposing the project. Data center developers discovered if we can sneak in here without anyone noticing, we could pretty much take what we want. A rare issue uniting Americans in opposition to data centers, the sprawling computer complexes that are the most visible manifestation of the artificial intelligence boom. In a recent Gallup poll, about 7 of 10 Americans said they would oppose a data center being built near them, and many expressed concerns about the projects operating in secret and gobbling scarce land, water, and electricity. See, I hear things like that, and I'm like, I don't really see what they could possibly be wrong about. Like, I don't want like some big project getting especially state money in my state and being able to operate in secret.
Yeah.
And then like taking up huge tracts of land and water and electricity when, you know, it's hard enough for young people to get a house and they're just like given this stuff.
And you know, if they're going to be taking a lot of power resources, what's that going to do to power in your neighborhood? Is it going to bring the price up? Is it going to bring the price down? We don't know.
Right. But experts and activists say that the intensity and breadth of the data center backlash reveals something bigger. Americans disgust with political and economic systems that feel stacked against them. Data centers, often backed by technology giants and advancing at the speed of AI, may be tangible symbols for a fed-up public to push back against powerful and unaccountable interests. Data centers are a physical embodiment of all the anxiety that people are feeling around AI and the economy, Utah Governor Spencer Cox said in an interview last month. And Cox, who faced blowback over his support for a data center project, said people feel like this is something they can fight. The groundswell against data centers is blurring typical political and social divisions. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont wants to ban data centers, and Humans First, I guess that's a organization led by former Tea Party movement leader Amy Kremer, is organizing national data center protests on Saturday. Hill County, Texas, where Donald Trump won 82% of the vote in 2024, banned data center construction this year. So did residents of Monterey Park, California, a predominantly Asian and Latino working-class city east of Los Angeles. It remains unclear whether this opposition will meaningfully slow the expansion of data centers fueling the AI boom or limit the AI chatbots that half of Americans use. One thing that's kind of crazy about like taking up giant tracts of land and having like these huge deals with states is just like, I feel like, is AI really going to do much more than it's gotten to at this point? Like, it feels like for at least a year, I haven't heard of anything like, oh, a new AI advancement, like, oh, they didn't used to be able to do this.
I haven't heard any advancements either. Maybe minor tweaks to their algorithms or their models or whatever, but nothing really significant to be like, oh my god, I should get this AI model and use it all the time.
Right, it's not that I'm saying what already has been created hasn't been useful to me or anything like that, but it's just like, why do they need more and more and more land and power and all this stuff when it's like, it was progressing rapidly, but then it feels like it just kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Like, when the pictures first came out and Ian and I were, oh my god, so like perplexed and interested, like, how is it possible a computer is coming up with an image? It's so crazy. They were so bad at the beginning. Some of them, I see them sometimes, like ones Ian and I made that are so funny because they're like ridiculously bad. And now they're really good. That did happen rapidly over a few years, but it's not like any new thing. It's not like, oh, and we're starting to think that this AI is actually sentient. Just because some freaking Google employee was tricked by that AI called Lambda before it was like, an everyday experience to talk to an AI model.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like, oh wow, this one's sentient or anything like that that's been coming up. It feels, seriously, sometimes I feel like it's like a .com bubble type thing. You know what I mean?
I would agree with you on that. I think it's a huge bubble right now. I don't know what's going to happen with that bubble. It could expand larger for a while, then collapse. But that being said, a lot of people are opposing data centers and a lot of people are opposing AI because they don't want to lose their jobs, which is understandable. But that being said, it's also possible that in 10, 20 years, we look back at this whole moment and say that AI seemed like a threat, but somehow humans have figured out how to work with it just like they do with every other technology.
And one thing about it is it makes this like, oh, we gotta move, we gotta act on this fast. Like if New Hampshire doesn't have a data center, then we're gonna be behind.
Yeah.
But what about the fact that it's possible that these things become kind of obsolete, like at least several of them or most of them or something like that, if AI doesn't go in the direction that they think, like advancing.
Or technology has major improvements and they don't need to have massive data centers to have, racks and racks of servers stored and computer parts and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. It would be kind of silly for your state to get into some deal with some company, spend a lot of money and waste a bunch of land and tear down a bunch of trees. Especially considering, have you heard that we actually are running out of good mature wood in the United States?
I have not heard that, but that wouldn't surprise me.
And mature wood is important because it's like a tree that just grew to full size last year is going to make weaker wood than a tree that lived for several years.
Yeah.
So that's becoming some kind of a big problem, and there's just like no solution for it, and it's not going to be solved.
Nope. And they're going to perhaps import lumber from around the world, and that's going to bring up prices of everything once more.
Yep, it's already happening.
Oh, yeah.
Things are already getting more expensive. People like my age probably just never own homes and own nothing and be happy or whatever.
Well, that's what the World Economic Forum supposedly wants, is they want you to own nothing and you'll be happy because that's the way we want the world to be. We want you to be a communist just like us, except they're not communists. They're whatever they call themselves, or I don't know if they call themselves anything specific, but they certainly behave like they own the world and get to decide what you get to put on, what you get to wear, and you got to obey their rules, walk within their small city, their 15-minute city, get a card or digital ID that says you can only be in this region during this time, and if you do, we're going to charge you carbon credits. That's what it seems like the world is coming to.
Yeah, and those people, they seem to think you need to be led, and they're the ones that are just so much smarter than you. They know it's good for you. I don't like it at all.
I don't either. It's like having another spiritual leader that I don't want.
It says it remains unclear whether this opposition will meaningfully slow the expansion of data centers fueling the AI boom or limit the AI chatbots that half of Americans use, but many elected officials say they know that the tide has turned against data centers, and they're rushing to show that they're listening to residents' concerns. So you're just trying to be fake, just be fake.
Yeah, politicians love to get out in front of parades, to pretend like they're the ones leading the charge when they're just
And they're
behind
listening.
everything else. Yep.
More Free Talk Live coming up. You can call 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever's on your mind. I would love to hear if somebody has really strong opinions on these data centers. I would love to hear your opinion on this. More Free Talk Live coming up. What do you think? Do you think that we need to get behind these things if we want to advance, or do you think that they're taking all the land and water? Or what do you think? More Free Talk Live coming up. 603-283-6160.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. US President Donald Trump declared the ceasefire with Iran over this week, but says Washington has agreed to continue negotiations as mediators scramble to prevent further escalation. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Israeli intelligence has uncovered a fresh Iranian plot to assassinate the US president. Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The US has been saying that Iran has been plotting potentially to kill President Trump in retaliation for the US strikes that killed their military leader Qasem Soleimani in 2020. Now, interestingly, this story also comes at a time where just after the New York Times has been reporting that President Trump didn't leave Turkey, the NATO summit in Turkey, in the new Qatari Air Force One, but he left in the older version of Air Force One because of security precautions.
Iran's new Supreme Leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, did not appear at the burial of his father, former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Thursday, as Pakistan and Qatar work urgently to bring Washington and Tehran back to the negotiating table. The contradictory signals from the White House had left mediators uncertain about the American position. Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
On the one hand, you had Donald Trump declaring the ceasefire was over, but also saying that he thinks talks could continue, saying that the US should finish the job, but he doesn't want to return to all-out war. And it's hard to know if this is part of his negotiating tactic to kind of put extra pressure on Tehran, or whether it is just genuinely him being frustrated one minute and then changing his mind the next.
Ukraine launched its largest drone attack on Moscow in 2 years this week, with more than 430 drones targeting the Russian capital and surrounding regions. Russia's defense ministry says it intercepted more than 450 drones across the country, while all four of Moscow's major airports imposed temporary flight restrictions during the barrage. The attack came as NATO leaders gathered in Ankara for a summit at which major new military assistance for Ukraine was expected to be pledged. Dasha Chinashova reports from Moscow.
The MOD says more than 400 Ukrainian drones were intercepted over different parts of Russia over the course of this past night, most notably in the Rostov region. The air raid sirens were on all night long in the Taganrog Bay. 2 tankers have been hit by the Ukrainian drones. They were not carrying any oil, so the authorities say that there was no oil spill in the waters as the tankers were heading to the Rostov-on-Don port. We're also hearing about the major attack against the Saratov region. 1 person got killed there and 2 others got injured in the Tatarstan regions.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and 603-283-6160 is the phone number. That's 603-283-6160. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley O'Bill.
And you can call that number. I just gave out 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever's on your mind. And in the last segment, we were talking about AI data centers and like whether or not people like them or want them to move to their states. But in that,
I wonder if these are just AI data centers and not cloud, and not also cloud service data centers, because both can be true. Like, we have a lot of our stuff on the cloud in America. We have Google Drive and things like that, Dropbox, things like that.
which the cloud is just someone else's computer.
It essentially is someone else's computer, and we always forget that. We just want to store our pictures on the cloud, so we don't have to store them on our phone or have a backup of them. And we forget that someone else's computer is holding that data, and someone could just slip out that little drive, and away your data goes.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. I wonder if some of these are not just AI data centers specifically, but I don't know. It seems like a recent thing where like data centers are being built, so maybe they are mostly like to make enough room and data for AI specifically, since that's a booming industry.
And that's entirely possible. It could be. And, you know, AI is going to get more powerful perhaps, or more models are going to be built. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know the future of AI. I'm just a talk show host, and I'm trying to figure that out too. So if you have any ideas, 603-283-6160 is the phone number. I'm just going to come out on a limb here and say that if AI isn't what the big tech guys want it to be, they're just going to have to sell off the property and the data centers for scrap, essentially.
Well, in that conversation, we started talking about how things are just really expensive for everyone else. People who are just struggling to get by. Most people are, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and things like that. Buy now, pay later apps have created a situation where Americans have more personal debt than they ever have. I think it was, if not like one of the top times they've ever had personal debt.
That's crazy.
Yeah, really not a good idea to use those buy now, pay later sites like Affirm and Klarna.
What if you intend to pay it off and you actually pay it off?
Well, like you would be one of the people that do that, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And some of them have an interest, so like even if you pay it off, you're paying that interest. And some of them don't, and I'm not sure how they can, like, I don't understand how those models work. Like, it's like they just pay for the thing for you, and maybe because so many people miss payments that then they get to collect more. Maybe that's what it is in the contract. But as long as you're on time, some of them do not involve interest. But lots of people forget about them or just like get into problems because they think they have more money than they really do. It's so silly.
It is.
It doesn't even make any sense, because the thing is, like with Bitcoin, breaking something up into payments makes more sense if you believe that Bitcoin will continue to go up in price, which right now, maybe that's not a great bet, but something that could go up in price, something that's even remotely possible to go up in price. But so dollar cost averaging. But with the dollar, you already know that the value is going to continue to fall. So paying for it now makes more sense than paying for it later.
Yeah, and the more the dollar falls in value, the more the prices are going to increase. And if you're spending $60 on a pound of really, really fancy chocolate, that money is going to be better spent in 10 years buying something else, because that 60 pounds, the 1 pound of chocolate for $60 is going to be, you know, $90 or something like that.
So, just in general, the conversation about people not having enough money and things being harder, this from the Wall Street Journal, moving back home used to be a sign of failure. Now it shows financial savvy. Nearly half of Americans under 30, pinched by the high cost of housing, are living with a parent. It can be an adjustment for both. Especially if they're moving back. Like if you just never left, well, it wouldn't be an adjustment, but
yeah.
Samantha Stobo was fresh off a breakup and unable to afford her Manhattan 2-bedroom alone. It's probably very expensive.
Oh, in Manhattan, you better damn well believe it's expensive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live in Manhattan because it's so expensive. So I can understand why she can't afford her apartment on her own.
Yeah. So the 29-year-old decided to move in with her mom in Miami until she could get back on her feet. She told herself it would only take a few months. Now 33 years old, Stobo has no plans to move out. I thought it was going to be temporary, Stobo said, but it's been 3 years now and I love it. That's good. Living at home as a 20-something was once viewed as a failure to launch and even a source of embarrassment in a culture that places a premium on independence. That is no longer the case. Living at home is now often viewed as a sign of financial prudence and, for some, a long-term prospect. And even kind of like this, me adding this, kind of like, I don't want to say privilege, but kind of to borrow a term that I don't usually use, kind of shows that like, oh, you have the ability, you know?
Yeah.
Some people's parents wouldn't allow that, or their parents are dead and maybe these people are adopted, things like that, you know? Some people don't have that opportunity, so it is kind of seems nice whenever I hear of someone like being able to live at home with their parents. So, chronically high living costs are helping reshape the milestones of early adulthood in America. The national median home price hovers above $400,000. Rents are at record highs in cities across the U.S., and many recent college graduates are saddled with tens of thousands of dollars in student debt. Even though some of these young adults pay their folks' rent, it tends to be well below the cost of living on their own. Everything is just out of reach, said the 28-year-old Megan Talley, who lives at home with her mom in the Atlanta suburbs. If a young person wants to live alone, you could do it, but you would be dead broke at the end of the month. Last year, 49% of adults under age 30 said they lived with a parent, up 12 percentage points from 2019. According to the Federal Reserve's latest survey of household economics and decision-making. Really? There's a Federal Reserve's survey. For some reason I was thinking it's a Department of Household Economics and Decision-Making. I was like, wait, what?
That'd be really weird.
Nearly a third of those adults were 25 or older. So that's 49% of adults saying that they live with their parents. Some economists put that figure lower and note that the Fed study doesn't distinguish between children living in their parents' home versus parents living in their children's homes. Oh, that's a good point. Still, young people say that living at home in 2026 doesn't carry the stigma it once did because of how unaffordable life has become. About 55% of young adults who moved back home said it was out of financial necessity, according to a spring survey by financial services firm Thrivent. So many parents and adult children are living together now that it is beginning to transform aspects of American society, from when members of the younger generation start a family to the way builders think about designing homes. That makes sense. I think it's less about like, oh, my parents live with me, and more about, well, there's no, like, if you're a woman, like, it does really feel like you're stepping in the landmine of who to get pregnant and have the child of.
Yeah.
And in general, like, if you're living with your parents, you probably aren't, like, married. So it's like, and I'm not saying you have to be married to have a kid. I'm just saying that, like, most people want that stability, and it's smart. So I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh, because we live together, that's why I'm not starting a home. It's like both these things are effect, if that makes sense. Like both these things are a symptom.
I think so, yeah. We're seeing a symptom of failed economic policy, inflation, and this is what happens when government prints trillions of dollars during a pandemic.
Yep. And it's funny that survey did say like, oh, it went up 12 percentage points since 2019. Yeah, that was before the pandemic, like you said.
Yep.
Far from hiding it, some now broadcast their lives as stay-at-home daughters or stay-at-home sons on social media. That's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
Stobo says posting about her mother-daughter living situation on TikTok has earned her a friendly comment section filled with others in the same position and makes her some money. No one ever judges me, she said. The conversation tends to be more like, that's awesome, and I bet you're saving money. Casey Wright, 26 years old, moved back home to Oxford, Michigan 3 years ago after being laid off from 2 consecutive jobs. She redecorated her childhood bedroom to match her adult aesthetic, tearing down her Twilight posters and choir awards and hanging a floral tapestry and framed landscapes. She and her parents have come to an agreement on living together as adults. She no longer has a curfew, for instance. But before she goes out, Wright's parents require her to tell them where she's going and what time she expects to be back.
That makes logical sense, I guess.
Wow, the nice wooden doorway in her bedroom, it's showing a picture of it, has all of the markings from when she was getting taller and the different ages.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
The Wrights have dinner together every night and go golfing or walking together a few times a month. Casey still hangs out in her parents' room occasionally to talk about movies with her dad or to gossip with her mom. She just doesn't spend time with her parents quite as often as she did when she was a child and is more often in her room playing video games or reading. It's not as much as when I was younger because I feel like there's almost that separation that's needed as an adult, she said. You're not just living in your childhood home as a child. Multi-generational living has long been more of a norm among Hispanic, Asian, and Black households, along with immigrant families. During the pandemic, a broader swath of 20-somethings returned home. Wonder why, like what we already mentioned.
Yep.
It was supposed to be short-term, then came record inflation and double-digit rent increases. By July 2020, 52% of young Americans age 18 to 29 lived with at least one parent, according to a Pew Research Center analysis of census data. It was the first time a majority of young adults in the country had lived with parents since the Great Depression.
Wow.
2020. The crap they did to people's economic freedoms.
I know, the rich just got richer and the poor just got poorer, but, here we are, talking about how the world's gonna end if we don't change our ways, and it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna change our ways. We're just gonna continue printing trillions of dollars.
Yep. The way that the monetary system is set up here, it is set up to continue inflating, and the value of your dollar will continue to go down. That's just how it's set up. It's like there is no stopping it.
I know, and the American people want their favorite politicians to come save them. The politicians cannot save you from the inflation unless, the Federal Reserve is abolished. The politicians cannot save you from the inflation of the dollar because they want it to happen. They don't really care. The best thing we can do is, move around people who actually value using alternative currencies like Bitcoin, gold backs, silver, things like that. Use alternatives that hold their value over time and don't hold on to things that don't, like a paper dollar.
Yep. Gold-backed dollars would be great.
I know, right?
So, yeah, we read how during the pandemic, a broader swath of 20-somethings moved home. Is that where I last left off? Sorry. Since the Great Depression. That share has likely dropped since then, July 2020. But for some people, the arrangements have stuck. Living with parents, a dominant living arrangement in America for people this age group, said Lawrence Steinberg, a Temple University psychology professor who recently wrote the book You and Your Adult Child. It's a weird name.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of Casey returning home to her parents' home in Oxford, Michigan, after being laid off from 2 consecutive jobs.
Wow.
And then there's Casey with her mother, Michelle Wright, has done a lot of grocery shopping for the household and helps cook. States such as California and New York have loosened regulations around building accessory dwelling units in recent years. One nicknamed Granny Flats, ADUs, are now used to house budget-squeezed adult children. I don't know what that means. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, like additional dwelling unit, maybe?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Villa Homes, a California home builder, is used to this kind of customer. The firm is seeing more families add attached ADUs for their grown children or other relatives to live in for a few years and save money for a starter home. Carmen Johnson, 33, has loved living with her parents in the Detroit metro area since the start of COVID. She doesn't pay rent, splits grocery bills with her family, and invests those savings in her music career and toward a future home. It beats barely making ends meet in her old Los Angeles apartment. COVID flipped the script, Johnson said. It's a blessing in disguise. Well, the COVID part's not, but maybe just the fact you moved in with your parents, could have done that whenever, and it would have probably been, good. She isn't ashamed of living at home and doesn't judge other people for it either, but she wouldn't necessarily reveal it to a first date unless asked directly. Bringing home a date also requires a bit of mental calculus. It's like, okay, my dad is going to be in the living room watching TV, Johnson said. Sometimes that kind of strategizing goes both ways. Jessica Suzio, a 52-year-old widow in Michigan, has tried to get back into the dating scene in recent years, but with her 2 sons living at home, both in their mid-20s, bringing back a new boyfriend is uncomfortable for all involved. I mean, just don't do that. I mean, just go on dates and, I don't know.
Rent a hotel room.
Yeah, things like that. Suzio is happy to have her sons at home, and they help with household expenses by paying her some rent. When they were younger, I was daydreaming about the days I would be an empty nester, she said. Aw, mean. But I've grown to really appreciate them sticking around. Maybe all parents do that, but it sounds kind of mean.
Yeah.
Couldn't wait for these kids to get out of here. Kevin Grolig, a 59-year-old real estate agent in the D.C. metro area, started noticing that his clients were delaying downsizing their homes because their adult children were still living there. So he came up with a 4-step plan to get grown children out of the house. The most important, agree on a move-out timeline before the child even steps back in the door. Casey Wright in Michigan doesn't pay rent, but her father, Craig, said she has been a big help around the house. She does much of the grocery shopping, helps with the cooking, and has learned to use the riding lawnmower, manicuring the yard when Craig is busy. About 5 times a day, she says, her mom knocks on her door, often to ask for help with technology. If I had the ability to, I would move out tomorrow, Wright said. Nothing against her parents. I would just love to have the freedom to do what they were doing at my age. And yeah, that's kind of the sad part about this.
Yeah, it is.
So here's a picture of Casey's father, Craig, said he has friends whose adult children also live at home. She seems like her parents were had her older too, because she's like my age and my parents definitely don't look this old. These people look like my grandparents.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
My parents had me at 26, which isn't super young or super old, but it seems like a lot of people have way older parents. So she says again, if she had the ability, she'd move out tomorrow. Wright's father wishes the same for his daughter. He and his wife expected to have an empty nest by now, but he realizes that the housing market is different today than when he was in his 30s in the 1980s. And yeah, see, her parents had her in their 40s, because if she is my age, if she's really 30, my parents were, the oldest they got was 10 years old in the 80s, so they're 20 years older than my parents.
Wow. It's crazy.
They had her in their late 40s. That's crazy. Good for them. Just thinking out loud, kind of. So definitely things were much different when they were younger. So it's really nice that they're understanding of that.
Yeah, and definitely the dollar has lost a lot of value since then too. And the thing to remember is that you and I, Bonnie, live in a different time where the dollar we have now isn't going to buy what it did in 1986 when I was born, or 1996 when you were born. So we have to take that into account, and this is why we're having a lot of problems with people moving back home, people losing their jobs, all sorts of things.
Yep, it's the way that the system is set up. It's not failing in any way. It's not some president's fault. And I'm not saying, don't blame the president. I'm just saying, everybody likes to be like, if we just get another president, we can fix this. No, it is the way the system is set up.
The system is set up, designed to make the rich richer and the poor poorer.
Which is one reason you should be trying to exit and get your money into things like gold and other precious metals and cryptocurrency.
Or eggs. I mean, you can buy eggs. They're useful.
Ammo, things like that.
Yep.
So he estimates his salary back in the 1980s when he bought a 3-bedroom home for in the late 1930s, in the 80s, and he bought a 3-bedroom home for $70,000.
Wow, $70,000 a 3-bedroom home?
Yes.
That's insane.
Less than a fifth of today's median home price. He estimated his salary back then was about $35,000 a year. It's crazy.
I know.
Some of Craig's friends also have adult children living at home. It's kind of normal, he said. It's not good. Not a good sign for the economy. Even though it's like kind of seems nice. Like it's like, oh, it's nice that those parents are allowing that. It's nice that the family is like, living, that they're close together and stuff like that. Probably having like dinner and getting to see each other more than the average adult gets to see their parents. It's not a good sign for the economy.
It's not. And it's really, I don't know what's going to happen from here. If it ends up being like the Weimar Republic or anything else, but the worst that could happen is our dollar becomes hyperinflated and becomes absolutely worthless. The best thing that happens is, the Federal Reserve reverses policy and decides to try deflation, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Is that something that is actually like on the table? Do they ever discuss that?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe they could, but I doubt they're going to do anything like deflate the dollar, because that sounds like a terrible thing to do, even though it would bring prices down.
Why does it seem like a terrible thing to do?
Because if a price of a good goes down, they believe that people will wait and wait and wait until the price gets to the lowest point they can get it and buy it instead of just buying it now.
I don't know. It seems like if it's between like Weimar Republic and that, that's like a no-brainer. But
I agree with you. I think it's a no-brainer.
It does seem either way like it's going to be painful at some point or another, and you need to be preparing yourself, making sure you like gain skills and
learn how to make bread, things like that.
Gold backs are an excellent investment for your money because those are things that can be traded for. Gold, it is gold, but it can be traded easily for items instead of, not having to like cut up tiny pieces of gold.
Yeah.
Just gold in general, silver dimes or whatever they're called.
Silver bits are great.
Yep.
LocalSilverMint.com is not a sponsor, but they do great silver bits.
Yeah. And like another thing that is like kind of seemed like it was reading like a wholesome article, even though I like realized kind of at the end, like, yeah, I probably should point out that this is a bad sign. But one thing about it is want to be around people that are like-minded. And that's why I live in New Hampshire. You can go to the Free State Project. You can Google that to learn more about why people are conglomerating together in the Free State Project who care about freedom and have a similar way of thinking as us. And that's why I'm here, to be a part of the Free State Project. The movement in general, not necessarily the Inc. And I think that that's an important thing to be preparing for because this thing is inevitable. Like you said, they're probably not going to just like, oh, let's completely change our monetary theory.
Yep.
The Federal Reserve.
Modern monetary theory is all about inflating the currency until it's worthless. But they don't think it's going to be worthless. They just think it's going to spread money everywhere.
Yeah, forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
Chasing some kind of dragon.
I know.
Yeah, so it just seems like things are not looking up for young people, but the best thing you can do is try to prepare yourself and get yourself in a position where things won't be as bad. Sounds so negative, but when you're with a bunch of other people who are all doing the same thing, you have a whole community of people that are doing the same thing. It'll be less bad for us than it is for the people who aren't prepared at all.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up the Free State Project. That's kind of my plan. Be around people who are doing things like learning skills and like farming and things like that, and also who understand not to put all your eggs in one basket, as in the United States dollar. More Free Talk Live tomorrow, and more Free Talk Live at freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening. Peace.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their